If you ignite him, he's a road ahead, a full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me. And he gets claws real big, pissed off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the score. Never getting bored, loves the blood and gore. Always wanting more, freedom from the source. They don't really understand until they feel the force departed. If you start shit, you'll be heartless in the darkness. Torn apart quick, you left scars ripped. You'll be chewed up and discarded. And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. Adrenaline pressure, it's stormy weather, lightning, thunder, pouring weather. Yo, I'm a go-getter, try to do it like me, but I do it better. I got a mind that's clever, the beast inside is competitive as ever. I'm conscious, my subconscious, an accomplice to me. I promise the darkness, I can honest believe. But don't cross me, I might lose control of the lost beast. He's locked away inside with the key control by fight or flight. And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate.
Hello and welcome back to the Side 7 Rising Stars tournament. I'm Protocol, and with me, no longer Gab, is BoonDiggles. You want to say hi, Boon?
Oh,
And and with that, we're gonna move into some of our lower bracket matches. So while we've been gone, the top four for this tournament has been decided. It's Grok Esports, Team Koga, Effet We Ball, and Team Serenity. So all four of these teams are gonna be moving on to the tournament Legends Reborn that is happening later this month. But in the meantime, we're going to decide on some seeding by playing out the rest of this tournament. So our next match is between Grok Esports and Team Koga. Both teams we watched earlier today. Both made the lower bracket run, and here they are. So, Boone, I don't know if you have any thoughts on either of these teams, but I'd love to hear it.
Um, well, I saw. Did these two teams run into each other earlier? No, they didn't. That's right.
No.
Okay. I did watch the first stream match with Grok Esports and then Team Koga. I thought they would have a stronger showing, but it seems like they made it back. They've definitely recovered here in the lower bracket.
Yeah, both of these teams losing to Effet Weeball and Serenity, respectively. So, um, our top four seems to make sense in my mind, but we don't really know how these two are going to match up because we haven't seen them play against each other yet. Both were 2-0'd by Effet Weeball and Serenity, so based on pure numbers, it seems like they're going to be pretty even, but I'm thinking this is going to be a pretty close match.
Yeah, I think it'll probably come down to their comps and pick ban for like what map they are favored on versus do worse on.
Yeah, that's one thing where we don't really know with any of these teams what the kind of map situation is like, and we don't really know what teams are comfortable on what maps they're not comfortable on. So like when we do see the map bans, we're not really sure who won or lost during pick bans until we're actually like in the map, right? So it's always an interesting thing to kind of take a look at and see.
We've seen like a lot of domination today though. Seems like a lot of teams are very comfortable with most of the domination maps than like large conveyance.
Well, we actually, so I was gonna say large conveyance is another map we've seen a lot of today, and we're gonna see it again.
Okay.
Ooh, luckily we're actually seeing colony trading posts. We haven't seen that yet today, so that's exciting. And we haven't seen mountain either. So if we do end up on mountain, that'll be pretty exciting. I'm not really sure what's first, what's second, what's last, but this is a pretty exciting map pool, I think, just because we're seeing some new maps that we haven't seen earlier
All three
today.
game modes as well.
Yeah, it's a good point actually. All three game modes, yeah. Unless you include the goated fourth game mode,
Oh yeah.
buried.
I don't know why it's not legal.
Yeah,
Might need to talk to
buried should
someone.
actually be in here. Blame Aesor.
We should get pre-patch buried as well. Or
We
5-5,
should.
so it takes
We
like 20
should.
minutes.
Yes, first to five. First to five buried. Back when we played it, every other game of rank too. That was good old days.
Day one where it was like 75% weighted or something, so you just
Uh,
played buried all day.
I definitely didn't
You're
have the
trying
day
to.
off in queue for 10 hours straight that day.
Yeah.
Do that. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not. I don't know. Maybe a production can tell us what maps are what order. So which ones we're getting first, second, third. All good.
It's either R&D or Colony.
Okay, so according to production, it looks like it's probably going to be Colony first, so that's pretty exciting. Map we haven't seen yet today. Um, so yeah, Colony a map where a lot of the first point and the second point are two very different points. Like air domination's like very important for the first bomb, but once you get past the first site and you go to the second one, the map becomes a lot more indoors and close and personal. So
Close up, yeah.
yeah,
Just about high
comps
ground
can
control for the
really
first one.
vary.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, like
even the bomb sites themselves on the second point are radically different. Usually, you do want to go B though. It's the more like contestable one.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, like we've seen with all the bomb maps, while there is like a favored bomb at the end of the day, if you can just get bombed down somewhere, it's like almost always correct. Like
Yeah.
just get the bomb and try and play it. You can hold full hold either, right? Um, but yeah, like I'm wondering if we're gonna see like Ash Zeta comps at the start, and then maybe some swaps as like the map progresses. If map progresses, maybe it'll be full hold. Maybe it'll be some full holds. We'll see. Um, Colony, a map I personally like a lot, and there's a lot of variation in comps on this map. Some old lore is that New Gundam actually released alongside Colony, so I'm sure like it was intended that New Gundam be pretty strong on this map. So I'd love to see if a New Gundam gets pulled out here.
I mean, the ult for New Gundam as well for bomb maps you definitely favored with the triangle, the angry triangle, uh, allowing your team to defuse or plant or um, push up even.
Yeah, for a
Very
map
valuable.
as open, for a map as open as Colony is, melee generally don't see as much play just because there's a lot of open space where they can get shot before they can actually get to their target. And that makes New Gundams all even stronger since usually the counter to the New Gundam triangle is just send a melee in there after them. Um, that being said, another character that's really strong in Colony is Zaku 2 Ranged, which we saw a bit of actually in our last series. We saw Grimwood pop off on the Zaku 2 Ranged, so I'd love to see Team Koga or Grok whip it out here as well. Fantastic on Colony to just permanently harass the defense by constantly tapping the bombs and forcing attention his way, while being able to just run away really quickly and grab health packs and do it again.
Yeah, the I mean main idea for first point is just to get one plant at all costs because it's very easy to defend once you've like set up. Because if you can just maintain high ground control, there's not really much you can do for the retake. So having something either designed just to get a pick or be really annoying and distract people is very valuable. Uh, oh,
All right, and it seems like match is about to begin. I'm gonna All right, it looks like we are loading in now, so we're gonna get a first look at what some of these columns look like. On Colony, we were correct. Um,
trying
Seeing
to see a
Ash,
barb.
Saws, I am seeing a Barb, so we are gonna see some melee. And I don't see a new Gundam either, but I do see a Hyperion who same sort of idea on that defusing slash planning with the shield.
If you were going to play a barb or like a melee on this map, you definitely would want to see the barb. The verticality of the point is a strong point for the suit on both bombs, actually being able to traverse the high ground and low ground with relative ease so you can position anywhere is ideal for barb. But the more open areas definitely won't be favorable for the barb on this point, but if you can get set up, then the barb can basically guarantee that you get your bomb off because he can just lurk around and use his stuns on anyone trying to defuse or plant, depending on offense versus defense.
Yeah. Notable as well, we're seeing the Zeta and Ashimar on both sides, so um, both teams understanding how important the air is on this map, and there's so much just aerial space on this map. If you control the air, you kind of control the whole map. So glad to see both teams sort of recognizing that and going Zeta Ash.
I think the
Um,
mobility is very important with the flyover from like waypoint. You can save a lot of time or set up a flank or just hover over a space where no one can get below. Just pepper people on high ground.
yeah, let's look at the key difference basically is Hyperion to Sazabi and Dynamis to Barb. So we'll have to see which gets more value here. But starting out, Team Grok gets the first pick onto the Dom Trooper, but it gets rezzed and down again.
They are split on their approach here, sending two people to bomb to distract while they just push up through waypoint. And looks like they are set up here. Tried to take high ground.
Yeah, it's generally a good idea to kind of like abuse like the waypoint spawn with like most of the team, and then kind of have some of your team sitting main where you're able to fly around, get a health pack like Rat's doing, and then just take some space, fight, and then you drop. You have a health pack right there. You can kind of keep doing that while your team's pushing in from the other side. And it looks like they're going to be trying to plant on B, but it is denied by Omerta. Now going for an A plant, trying to change it up. Omerta trying to fly in again, not able to deny it this time, but is able to get a kill.
It's like they are down for that. And there we see the Barb just threatening whatever they try to do on A point.
Yeah, Barb's
Really,
like
you
mere
do
presence just denying a potential
you
defuse.
do need the Barb dead before you can realistically defuse here. So if he just plays behind, they're gonna need to retake entirely.
Yeah, it looks like Team Koga trying to regroup a little bit, but kind of staggering a little bit, and some reses are going off for Grok Esports. Armada trying to like wrap around the back, but yeah, he's gonna get caught by TSG and Blank there, and looks like the A bomb is going to go off without issue, while Team Koga kind of regroup to get ready to hold waypoint.
Yeah, that's the issue we saw with the retake there is they just were never really grouped up enough to meaningfully take the point after they planted.
Yeah, I do wonder how they're going to try and be holding this waypoint here. They do have the Dynamese ult active, which does seem to be denying this initial space. Next up for them is probably Dom or Ash ult, depending on what they want to use. How they're going to respond to the incoming ults from Grok. I know Plague Reaper does have his Pale Rider ult ready, but he might try and wait for the Dom ult before he uses that.
This looks like Grok has the ulti-gon advantage here with 4 ults and soon to be a Dom ult. And
yeah,
though this is a fairly strong choke, so I think Team Koga hold off for a while.
Yeah, big pick there by Team Koga onto TSG there, sort of, and now it's going to leave for Grok to wait until the response. But Omerta tries to go in with a punch, and he gets taken out by Plague Reaper, and the whole team just got wiped.
Probably get a plant here.
Yeah, that is a full team kill by Team Grok. Looks like they're heading to the B site for that kill. Omerta's going to try and deny it. Oh, but the wall comes up and stops him from denying that plan.
Yeah, the doors go off on a 20-second interval every single time. But usually it's hard to track that.
Yeah, unlucky timing for Omerta means that they do get that plant off on the B bomb site. It looks like Team Koga is playing this well, though. They are going around trying to take the waypoint, but he didn't actually take the whole waypoint. Oh my god, he got off, and there's still a sliver. They're going to be able to respawn there still. That was a huge mistake, and now the rest of the team is going to be fighting over this bomb site, but there are other teams just
basic go down.
at waypoint.
Reliable spawn.
Those are a bunch of kills in favor for Grok Esports there. Plague Reaper back on point as Pale Rider. Neumann right behind him as the Pale Rider mirror, but too low HP to really fight, and Detroit Sewer Rat kills him while he is trying to heal up. And I don't think they are going to be able to stop this, and that is a clean round by Grok Esports.
Yeah, ideally they just set up each bomb and then stabilize, and then it's very hard for the defending team to retake because they have the barb, they have the reliable stuns with the ults that they can go for a pick on someone planting. They just played the momentum there of getting the first point and then rolling them on the waypoint to allow them to get the plant, and they couldn't really recover in time.
Yeah, I do like some of the ideas Koga was going for, but I think there were just like some errors in execution that ultimately led to Grok just being able to keep on with their push there. Like for example, that waypoint take, not fully actually taking back the waypoint, I think was like a really big mistake and kind of made it so Grok were able to just continue to fight on bomb point without issue.
If the waypoint take went through and people were denied being able to respawn in, that would entirely split their push and they wouldn't really be able to secure the bomb after that.
I do want to point out a composition change. We're seeing the Sazbi dropped for the Unicorn this time around. I understand the idea actually, because with how much more open this map is, the Sazbi, a lot of times he can't really get on top of someone. But the Unicorn here will be able to provide the team shields while they all sit around him, and kind of give them shields like overheal for the refight if they ever give up some space and regroup.
Yeah, the sustain is useful for being poked out while they're in a defensive position. Here, like the Ash Molly or the Dom spamming around a corner. The Zeta as well flying.
Looking at the damage chart, Plague Reaper by far in the lead on that Pale Rider.
That Hades ult on Waypoint. There's definitely a lot of that.
Oh yeah. And right away now, Team Koga, they do take Way very quickly. Looks like Team Grok don't really want to fight for that control.
They just full give.
Yeah, there are like a few different schools of thought for how to really defend, if you even should defend Waypoint, but what they did right there, totally acceptable. And in the meantime, Plague Reaper's able to get a pick on Iron Otaku.
Does get rezzed. Though that won't.
So it's making it a 6v5 for Team Grok. In the meantime, Koga are trying to push in on the high ground into A. Omerta's able to get a pick, but he does go down in response, using the Hyperion bubble to try and take the space, but Hyperion not enough HP and does end up going down. It's looking like this push isn't really going to get through, but they're kind of sticking around a little bit. I think it's going to lead to some staggers. A kill on Blank, though, does mean it's a little bit more possible, but he does get rezzed.
I think that's one of the stronger points of the Unicorn pick on this map is the prolonged fight there. Where you can just get the value from the shields and the passive regen while people are in the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. If the Unicorn's able to just kind of stay alive in the back during these longer fights, the value becomes enormous, right? Because you're not only getting the shield, you're also getting the generic passive heal. But the bomb does actually end up going down on the B site. Plague Reaper uses the ult in response to try and take back this space, make it so his team can defuse here.
But it looks like they do secure high ground control mostly here. Yeah, pick on Plague Reaper. It's going to be very hard to defuse when you have someone shooting you through the grate on high ground.
Yeah, you really do need to take control of height before you can even attempt to defuse on B because of those grates. And Team Koga doing a good job of maintaining control of this height. And then when they do respawn, because they're playing these flying characters, they can just immediately fly in from Waypoint and be right back on the high ground.
Looks like they don't have enough time now. They do also have the ult advantage on Team Koga. Oh. Let's see, two picks.
There's one last desperate attempt to try and defuse this bomb here. Dom Trooper trying to body block for the Unicorn, and they actually get it off.
They get it off.
Wow. My lord. Big mistake by Team Koga there. Like, honestly, just throw your body at the guy defusing. Like, the other kills do not matter. Yeah, that's an absolutely massive mistake. But they're able to get the bomb back down in the meantime, because it was such a desperate attempt by Grok.
Yeah, here for this fight, we're definitely going to see exchanges of ults now that we've gone past the very start of the game where people have started to charge theirs and they're not saving it for the next point because they think that they have it. So the ult usage is definitely going to matter a lot here.
Yeah, I am... Oh, big mistake by Detroit Surat there. Doesn't pop Dom ult with the rest of his team and then takes a bunch of damage and pops it and ends up going down without really helping the team with that ultimate. I would have loved to see Dom ult escort the Unicorn ult to just give it the space to get a lot of these kills. But it looks like, despite that mistake, they're able to get the defuse.
Team Koga here with 5 ults.
Yeah, I think they must have hesitated a little bit in that last fight.
Last second ditch effort here. They don't really have much time to coordinate a big push. It's enough for one fight.
Nope, just 40 seconds remaining, so they have about one more big fight. Iron Otaku pops the Dom ult to try and take this space and make it so this team's able to come in. Blank responds with the Zeta ult in the back to stun the people following up with the Dom ult. Ults are going off everywhere. Omerta did his punch. And kills are going back and forth, and Omerta is trying to get an A plant down, and it doesn't look like anyone can stop him. And nope, Basic was at the low ground, as was Rat, and Omerta gets that plant.
I see the Flyers excel here. You know, the position themselves around high ground here.
Bit of a wasted Zeta ult there from Glass that might come back to bite them. That could have denied a defuse. But in the meantime, they've regathered as 6 on Koga to defend this plant, while Grok is still kind of waiting for some respawns while they fight. Basic pops his ult in the back, not able to get the value he was hoping for, and he goes down. Meanwhile, Hyperion ult comes in from Supernova, and they actually do catch Plague Reaper.
It was right after he popped Hades too, so that's a big deny.
Yeah, that's absolutely massive. Yeah, meanwhile, Anotaku fighting TSG in the back is able to win that fight. Detroit Surat gets on the bomb, but Omerta is there to deny, but it looks like he's the only one. Anotaku coming up last minute. Here comes Glass, and they're able to stop that defuse. Oh, but they can't fully... Oh my god. Okay. Last second defuse by Grok there, and if they had that Zeta ult, it wouldn't have happened. So it actually did come back to bite them and lose them that round. And that's the map for Team Grok.
Yeah, we saw a ton of small mistakes that cascaded into larger scale misplays on that map there, because they had the plants down there. They definitely could have secured them if they played some of the fights slightly better there.
Yeah, like, again, it's like I said after the first round, it definitely feels like Team Koga they understand what they're doing, and they're doing the right things, but there's just like small mistakes in execution that are costing them in these like important moments. Like, for example, they should have won this point 2 minutes ago, but they didn't prioritize the person defusing, and that person actually was able to get the diffuse off, and even though they replanted right after, it ended up making it so they didn't even get that first point. And then in that last fight there, actually at the very start of the plant, we threw out the Zeta ult when it really wasn't necessary, and then at the end of the fight there, if they'd had the Zeta ult, they could have freely stopped the defuse with like a unstoppable ult that they just didn't have because they used it already.
I believe we're going to Mountain R&D next. I imagine we'll probably see somewhat similar comps, but not exactly. The Bar probably going to be able to be played again by Basic. I know he plays quite a few units, but that's his signature one.
Yeah, one thing with Mountain is just like Colony, airspace very important, so I wouldn't be shocked to see the Zeta Ash combo by both teams once again, now that we see they're both comfortable playing it. I am going to be on the lookout though for Team Koga this fight, because this map is it's a Dom map, not a bomb map. Things are going to be a bit more scrappy, a bit more brawly, and I do expect Team Koga to thrive a little bit more in this situation.
Yeah, you do play the game modes differently with like a coordinated push of 6 to retake versus just more prolonged fights and pick-based like momentum back and forth on the Dom maps, just to be able to hold a space for a short amount of time rather than something like the bomb map.
Looks like not too much of a break in between maps. We're hopping right into Mountain, which we love.
Yeah, everyone's favorite map. Yeah. Because it's the only map.
Yeah, I feel like Mountain's a map that every team has lots of experience on. Everyone who's been playing this game, you've played a lot of Mountain in your time. If you play in the Side 7 custom lobbies here at any time, you're going to play Mountain at least once a night. So every player should be pretty comfortable on what they're doing here. So it's just going to be about execution and team coordination.
I think your theory was right. We see 2 flyers on the side of Grok Esports, but we also see 2 on the side of Team Koga, swap to the Ash.
One thing I want to note on the side of Grok Esports is that Camphor. Can't lie, I am not a Camphor believer, but I'd love to be proven wrong here by Basic.
He did also hover the Z2R. Similar ideas behind the units, but the survivability on Camphor is not as good as Z2R, but it is exchanged for the burst of like the shotgun, being able to 2-tap someone in the head. Very valuable.
Yeah. A little bit more damage on Camphor, a lot less survivability. We'll have to see how it plays out. Looks like teams are fighting over the A point for now. High ground does go in favor of Grok, and it looks like Team Koga are kind of on the back foot here.
You see blue here positioned, taking the high ground. We don't see people on the opposite height trying to take it. Just see the Team Grok actually winning out on the fight after a pick on both the Zeta and the Dom.
Yeah, but in the meantime, a little bit of a mistake there from Team Grok, not actually touching the point, and even though they were down numbers, Team Koga are able to grab point there.
I mean, they're the 10%. It's not like minimal.
No, it's not nothing, not at all. Although Grog did come in there and take the point, so not the worst, but a small mistake that could cost them in the long run of this round.
Yeah, they definitely are displaying more control over the point here. So we do see a lot of back and forth with the picks.
Yeah, I'm surprised at this point we aren't seeing Team Koga already set up at C.
Usually about 15 or so seconds you want to move over.
Yeah, Glacier on the Zeta with full rage, so, and also very close to their ult, the farthest along in the lobby, pretty close with Rat on Team Grok, so we're going to see Ash Punch versus Zeta, what gets more value.
A lot of value from the Flyers here, just being able to hover over. And
Ooh, a big body block. Oh, but the Zeta ult gets 2, 3. Okay, so the Zeta ult there gets a ton of value by Glass and basically secures the point for Koga. I was complimenting the body block by TSG so they get the res on Playgreeper, but in the meantime it meant they were all grouped for that Zeta ult to get infinite value.
Do you see the swap off of the camper to the barb here from basic?
Yeah, the camper, it just dies too quickly. It just doesn't get the value you'd hope for, I think, in these more this more coordinated play you see in this tournament.
Yeah, I think the CTR could definitely excel better in the sort of situation because you can usually get out.
Yeah, but Barb itself, not a bad swap either. Fantastic on this map. We do see point flip over to Grok in the meantime. Low HP on TSG, but it looks like it's not going to matter. Nope, does actually end up going down to Neumann, but the point is squarely in the hands of Grok for these last few seconds.
Using the bubble to get the res on the Pale there.
Yeah, well played by Supernova on that Hyperion, but teams should be moving down to B at this point. Looks like Team Koga is going to be there first, but Team Grok not far behind them. Things get pretty scrappy when this point opens up.
I wonder if we'll see people dropping from high ground. Yeah, see Team Grok positioned.
Yeah, looks like they're trying to take as little chip as possible. Big punch from Rat gets 2. Both are eliminated, as is Supernova. That's 3 for Grok, and that punch just decided the point on its own.
Yeah, the retake is fairly hard on B once you have people positioned up on the point, because going through main is very hard because you're going through a tunnel, and they have the barb, they have like the punch, the molly, the splash from the dom. Usually you want to group up as 6 and oh, we do see a Hyperion ult and a punch go out from both teams here.
Yeah, Grok doing a good job though, just keeping bodies on point, even though they were losing that fight, and Team Koga will get the last 20 seconds, but overall, very in favor of Grok, and they're going to be able to set up now on A for this last point. Actually, no, looks like Team Koga is going to set up on A here. Well, they're trying to, but here comes Grok, 4.
Koga going to be down the Pale and the Dom ult for likely the rest of the game here. Unless they can build one up fast, I'd rely on the Dom for that. Probably won't be seeing another Pale from Neumann.
I'm going to look at Glass with that ult ready, see if they can get value like they did the first time. Meanwhile, Rat is able to get a kill on Supernova, and Cafu here goes down to Plague Reaper. Iron Otaku playing the opposite, something we haven't seen too much of so far this match, but goes down as well, and Grok handedly take this last point.
Yeah, and they're just going to have the ults for the final contest here. Just have a strict advantage. The only real thing that they could do is hit like the craziest Zeta ult of all time, but it's going to be very hard to do when Grok Esports basically has all 6 of their ults ready to go.
Yeah, 5% left, and Glass has that already, but if they didn't even really have the chance to use it there, they would have just been shot and killed by the Pale Rider. That same Pale Rider who is now popping their Hades with the Zeta being down to try and finish up and clean up this fight before the Zeta respawns. They take out Omerta, a punch comes in, but it's not enough. And that is the round for Grok Esports.
Beautifully done. Yeah, really, they're not having the Pale Rider and Dom ult that they used to retake about 10% or so from point B cost them there, because not being able to contest theirs or counter pop was they really didn't have a chance of getting that last point there.
Yeah, generally that combo is just so strong, especially because it gives Pale Rider that movement speed increase and armor. So it's really hard. Generally, the Pale Rider ult, the idea is you use an ult like Ash Punch, Z2R slash to just kind of stun him and stop him in his tracks. But when he gets more HP from the armor, even if you stop him, he might survive and kill you afterwards. And the speed boost makes it so it's harder to even land those ults on him because he's just so much more mobile. So that combo is really strong, and the best way to deal with it is have the combo on your own. So if you use it early and then they still have it for the next fight, it better have been a really good reason for you to have popped it, and 10% isn't really that kind of reason.
We do see that showing here on the scoreboard with, I believe, Plague Reaper with the most damage in the lobby.
Yeah, Plague Reaper on that Pale Rider, topping the scoreboard for now, but you have a whole new round in front of us, and it looks like it's going to be starting on this B point with teams engaging. Honestly, at their staircase corners, all is like 6. That's really interesting.
Do you see Grok Esports pushing up to their side to try and pinch them, while Team Koga is backing off? So it looks like Grok is going to be able to take the point first.
Yeah, right there, Omerta was the only one from his team on point, but it wasn't open yet, and he ended up going down for it, so a little bit of a mistake there, and it looks like Team Grok is going to capitalize on it and collapse on the rest of the team who is still around. Kafu and Iron Otaku trying to get away, but I think they're both going to end up getting staggered here. Unless Kafu here is able to... Kafu was able to get away at least, but Iron Otaku ended up staggered there, which is just going to make it so Grok gets even more time. By the time they're all back at 6, it's already going to be only 30 seconds left on the point. And at that point, you even try and recontest as Koga? It looks like you do, but you end up going down for it. So...
It looks like they are trying to do something with the drop from high ground, but it just seems like they're too split now to get anything done.
And at this point, you're probably going to want to set up for A, but TSG putting in work takes out Zeta and Ashamar and makes it so Team Koga isn't even able to set up for A. That is the entire point for Team Grok, and they're going to be the ones who are set up for the next point first.
Pretty big advantage here for Grok in general. Not a single person on Team Koga has an ult charged yet, so they're definitely going to be able to leverage their advantage that they've had by being the aggressors and attacking more, doing more damage, charging more ults. Definitely going to help them out here on the A point.
Yeah, looking out for either Plague Reaper or Blank to pop that Zeta or Pale Rider ult respectively. We see Blank up in the air right now, looking perfect position for that Zeta ult, but elect to not pop it because they get the kills without it.
Don't need to use it if you don't need it.
Nope, no reason to waste an ult in this game. On the other side, No Cafe here pops this, what's it called, Dynamy's ult to try and take some space back, but the Dom ult comes in to try and deny that space. Plague Reaper comes in with that Dom ult. They use the combo there just to secure this fight, really, and while Plague Reaper does end up going down, the rest of his team is able to capitalize off of the damage he dealt.
That does mean that Team Koga still has the Dom ult for the advantage. They have their Dom Hades combo that they can use maybe on the next point, because this will not go to... It's only been 2 points, so it won't have enough percent to be able to go to the final point.
No,
if they hit 100.
Honestly, a little mistake there by Grok. I would have liked if they had stuck around to just get as much percent there as possible, because at 82%, they're probably going to need to win 2 fights still to end the round, whereas I think if they had gotten the full like 95% or whatever it was going to be, they could have actually maybe won off of just 1 fight. But regardless of that, Team Grok squarely in the lead as they fight over C, but Rat does go down, and that leaves a player advantage for Team Koga.
Just do you see the big ult econ advantage here? I think Team Koga will be in a good position for the C point. Do you see the Dom Hades combo come out?
Yeah, Dom Hades combo does come out, putting in work, and although Detroit Sewer Rat does fall Neumann with that Pale Rider ult, putting in the work, gets his 2 kills, puts his heal pod down. He's back to full. His team has point. That combo worked fantastic. And TSG kind of on an island here, probably going to get picked. If anyone from Team Koga helps Omerta.
Yeah. Saz in close range still can kill you. He is not just a tank.
Yeah, shock Team Koga didn't collapse there on TSG. That ult from Blank, or from Glass, sorry, did not get the value that Blanks just did, getting the pick. Looking like this fight is going in favor of Grok, but they're committing ults to a fight that is not going to lead to the round 1. This last few percent doesn't really matter too much. Yeah, even though Koga lose that fight, I'm pretty happy with the state of that if I'm Team Koga there.
Yeah.
A bunch of ults used for an extra, what, 10%? Not too big of a deal. The same mistake Koga honestly made last half.
Do you see that sort of, that thing that you talked about with the 10% on the point that they could have fallen back and gotten if they just died on point? They could have tried to close it out there by winning that fight, but they just didn't get enough percent. So now it's up to another major fight.
Yeah, some of these small mistakes do add up over the course of the round, but we're seeing this, what's going to be the final point on B here between these two teams. Looks like Koga getting the advantage initially, but TSG does deny the initial capture, takes so much damage, and a punch from Omerta does finish it off. That's 3 for Team Koga, and Plague Reaper did use his ult in that situation as well. Team Koga looking primed to make a comeback this round.
Yeah, the only major teamfight ult that we're going to be able to see at this point is going to be the Dom ult, because this is the final point and they'll actually get a perfectly even amount before it closes in. It's going to be down to one more major fight here if they let them sit on point and get this person.
Yeah.
Go down.
Picks going back and forth between these two teams. The percentage slowly rising for Koga as they try to make the comeback here, but that is a kill for Blank and a res for Team Grok, making it a 6v4, make it a 6v3 while the picks go back and forth. It is squarely in favor of Grok. The Sazabi ult comes in at the end even to just finish things off, and that's Grok with the map and series win.
Use their ults just before. They did actually have the Dom Hades lined up, they just both died eventually. I do believe if they could have grouped up and then used their ults more effectively there, they could have retaken, but it's not how it went.
Yeah. Well, even though Grok does win there and they move on to play F at Wee Ball in the lowers bracket final, you have to give respect to Team Koga for getting this far and for qualifying for the Legends Reborn tournament later this month. They'll have some time to clean up some of those mistakes and get ready for that next tournament now that they're out. Speaking of that next matchup, we did see F at Weeball and Grok Esports. They did play earlier today. We didn't see that match on broadcast, but F at Weeball did win 2-0 versus Grok. So maybe the lowers bracket has got Grok ready to make a little bit of a rematch and make it a bit more competitive, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I do think the rematch, after being able to evaluate what you did, you might be able to correct some mistakes on the spot. I mean, that match with Team Koga was very close, but we don't know exactly how that match went, but could have been a 2-0 stomp, could have been a closer 2-0. Oh no, we'll just have to see here in the rematch.
All right, well, in the meantime here, we're going to take a short break while we get that next match ready to go. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll be right back. Am I muted up?
I'm changing over. In the moonlight I can't kill this feeling sober. So I start to come alive. I don't know what starts to control me. I let it go, another soul that's underneath. I don't really care about this all. It's the fall that kills me. With our back against the wall, just feed the beast and you'll see. Wait for me. I don't wanna die inside my reality. Wait for me. I don't want your mind to remember me. I feel like that we're getting closer to a brand new night. The past is finally getting over. I really think it's time to say goodbye. I don't know what starts to control me. I let it go, another soul that's underneath. I don't really care about this all. It's the fall that kills me. With our back against the wall, just feed the beast and you'll see. Wait for me. I don't wanna die inside my reality. Wait for me. I don't want your mind to remember me.
My head in my hands, listen up, says my teacher. In front of the class, he says if you're not a believer, I'll love you, is that's on you. Better shape up and pay your dues. I'll love you, is that's on you. I'll be on a flight soon to Vienna, singing ooh. Gotta know all this propaganda, how do you do? Better that I learn my own medicine for you. Never gonna make them think I'll stand there. For all the things that I've said, pushing me closer to of amber. Give me a breath, like the fire you'll soon remember. Ooh. I'll be inflating till the end, I'm singing. Ooh. Gotta know this propaganda. How do you do? For all the things that I've said, pushing me closer to the edge. Hand back, John, I let loose. Don't mind if I do. For all the things that I've said, pushing me closer to the edge. Hand back, John, I let loose. Don't mind if I do.
Alrighty.
We're live. We
Yeah,
are back with losers finals between Grok Esports and F It We Ball on pick bands. It seems like we have Thermal first, and then Colony, and then Large Conveyance Facilities as our maps. These two teams did previously fight in winner semis, and we saw F It We Ball 2-0 Grok Esports, though I don't believe that match was streamed, so we don't know how close that 2-0 was.
Yeah, going into this is going to be really interesting. Two CPs and then Thermal Plant. It's going to be really interesting to see what they decide to pull out for these two matches.
There's a destruction in there.
There's a destruction. Oh no,
It's
you're
all
right.
three
there is
game
a
modes.
destruction.
Yep.
that's just yeah, we get all the
2CP,
game modes.
Dom
Yeah,
and Colony.
2CP, Dom and Colony. Wow. Okay. Well, that's going to be interesting.
You can see all
Yeah, we'll
facets
see.
of the teams here.
Yeah, this is really going to test everything here because both teams, I think, who was it that was doing nothing but dominations? I think it was F It We Ball.
I'm not sure.
I think it was. I think they had they were doing a bunch of domination maps. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they deal with having to play all three maps, the map types. We haven't seen have you seen Colony yet? We haven't seen it on
Last
stream.
match, Grok
We just
Esports
did.
won on Colony, so they're really
Just
hot
okay.
coming off of that. Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting indeed.
Yeah, we did see good play on Colony from Grok Esports with the high ground control on point 1, and then the sort of domination on defense after rolling them through waypoint.
Yeah. Alright, and what's the first map?
This is a
Thermal.
Thermal, okay. Go to Thermal. I'm really excited to see what they're going to pull out here. There's been a little bit of alterations to team comps that we've seen so far. I've seen, the usage of more melee units. We've seen, things like Mahiru show up. So I'm interested to see what's gonna come out of this.
Yeah, the close quarters definitely does skew the picks and the comps here. Hoping to see Basic on the bar, but it seems like he's going for the Camphor again.
You just go blank on the Susan. Camphor.
See him
Wait.
covered a Methus. Okay. 2 Susans, very dominant suit.
That's just the close quarters nature of this map. Susan has a lot of advantage here, especially on things like 8 point. Really tight knit. That heal pod on the side is really powerful for Susan. Going entry through main is really easy for Susan on 8 point.
I think B is the only point that's sort of weaker for the close quarters suits. Because of the high ground control, you can just position shooters up there, and they can lock it down. Though most melee characters are very mobile, can jump around. Do you see it go to C point first here?
They're gonna go for a little C point. But once you're gonna be getting some early picks, Basic gonna get put down. TSG and Felwinty getting blank. They're up 3 in the opener, up 4 now. It's gonna be a really quick setup for F-It We Ball.
The spam is... There's a lot of spam on the F-It We Ball team. The Ash Molly, the hero, and the Dom. You can just throw a lot of projectiles to chip people out. Make sure that they can't really push up.
This is a really smart setup. I felt Winty watching for that height contest as the Ash. Relaying that to the
up
team.
there. Gets taken down.
Good dive.
So F-It We Ball down 3 effectively here, but they can't take the point just yet. People holding lower, stalling for as much time as possible. They are going to get 30%. Oh,
yeah, you got to be really careful though, because exactly this. If you
have the
overcommit to
stagger
dropping
here.
down, then you have nothing on height.
Yeah, very smart play there to hold as much percent as possible, and then we have a back tap. Yeah, they get the whole points percent.
Basically.
There they retook about 20% of the way through. They just couldn't cap it. The high ground, low ground.
Bastion's really low there. I don't know if he wants to be there too much. Doesn't get any attention though. Wait.
So one go down on both teams.
If we ball with the early height control, it's really hard to push off that height control. You got to be looking for off angles, like blanking behind.
Here, go through.
The timing to push just like this. Yeah, this is exactly what you need to do to try and break up that height control on B.
Which goes out from
This
Fel
seems to
1,
work
see
up
the
B
hero
with the
ult.
ult. Basic finds the saws.
See Dom come out. And it seems, however, Grok Esports is positioned, F-It We Ball prioritizes capping the point and then forcing the fight to be on their terms, really.
Yeah.
Even if Grok has a dominant position, they still play for the point.
You gotta be thinking about resets right now, though. You gotta stack up. You gotta stack up and push. You can't just be sitting there trying to slowly find these, inch your way forward, maybe staggering. No, you get to group up, get ready to push, look for that off flank. But yeah, right now it's just about setting up on the next point. Just going to see again. Vertical popping the ult, getting countered by Detroit in the.
We do see a lot of ults come out here on this point, but the point is not active yet, so this really just is a fight for the early positioning. F-It We Ball now down quite a few ults. Rock Esports is positioned with 3, soon to be 4 ults. See Zach Goose get a pick. Eve as well. Both teams down 2.
They're down in the ult economy, but they have height control. So let's see how they can convert that into position hold. Ult from blank. I don't think that, or was basic. I don't think I got anybody. I don't think I did damage.
I think might have gotten a splash.
Maybe a little.
Going for point capture, barely don't get it. Still having Dom contest on high ground, very hard to get the Dom off high ground when you don't have the mobility to traverse between the 2 points.
Just seems like a really strong stagger fest right now.
You see the opposite of the first C point occur on this, where Grok Esports just sort of staggers and holds the point control for the majority of it.
This is going to be the real trick now, though, right? Because there are a few people from F-It We Ball that are really low, like Droidical, get taken down, right? But they have the height control, so we'll see what Grok is going to be able to do with their health advantage. Let's see if they can't convert that. Wyme's going to pull out the Hades. Let's see if that doesn't convert, because Peeve is waiting up on height with the ult to try and screen that off. Gets pushed out. Point flips. The contest. Grabbing every last tick, and then Castian
Domo
popping.
from Castian.
Yeah.
Same sort of deal where they've capped the point, and now despite Grok being positioned, having advantages, they just hold the point and get the percent.
Well, there's no conversion. It's that height control, and just always making sure there's one person on point.
Solo punch,
Right.
doesn't hit the sauce. There we go. Oh.
And around, it's just having that one person on point constantly to make sure that there's no cheeky caps, to make sure that it's always it's always capped to your side. Just it doesn't matter. Even they were even down ult economy, and they were just because they positioned better, they were just able to convert that into a round win. Synergy? Okay. Taking a look at the numbers.
Yeah, I do see a pretty standout performance from Basic here on the Camphor on Grok Esports. Doing more damage than the shooters that, like typical high damage units like Ashamar. You can see on F Ball that Felwenty has the most damage out of the whole lobby, closing in on 30k.
Yeah. Let's see if yeah, so TSG is gone
To the Uni off of Saws. We saw this before the previous match, and it seemed to work out for them.
and then Zach Goose has gone Z2R. So there's been a little bit of change in the comps. Let's see if that makes a difference. Felwenty picking up 2 off the rip. TSG's going to get res onto one of them. He's going to get it onto Blank. Get him back up.
Looking to push up here. Grok is low. But we do see the extra sustain from the Uni coming to play there.
It is keeping them alive, isn't it? It's just long enough to do something.
Yeah, I do think the Uni is a smart idea into something like the Hero, where you're getting spammed out a lot, so you can have the extra survivability. But I don't know if it's going to pan out entirely.
Well, it's also really good into the Susan, right? Because it allows you to survive the dive.
Yeah, getting
you might have gotten picked.
extra 100 or extra 400 when you pop the armor to be able to survive a one shot.
Yeah.
Just not being out of position. You see F Ball get down 3 here. Grok takes point.
Yeah, but there's a positional advantage again from F Ball.
Seem to hold on to it here. Okay.
Target change to objective A.
Good. We haven't been to A yet, so let's see how this plays out. That heal pot control, yeah, where basic is right now is extremely important. Maintaining that is what's going to let you convert this into a point win.
We're going to see Peep spam that out, though. Just constantly firing projectiles into a critical point to control on A here. See 4 picks. Okay. Grok Esports dominantly takes the point here. Susan dive in. That's nearly a team wipe there.
Well, what's interesting, what's crucial though, is that they did it without using an ult.
Yeah.
So now they're going to have 4 ults going into this next team fight. 5 ults actually going into this next team fight potentially. But now Jordickle's, yeah, he's going to have to force. He's going to get picked because TSG, yeah, that's the thing with the Uni ult. It's really good as a counter.
See a lot of value from the Dom here. Using the ult and then taking out multiple with the primary fire. Yeah, there for that fight, F Ball was just barely close on a few ults. They just didn't have them charged up enough to be able to get them with the poke there. So Grok Esports can just hold them with the Dom ult. We are going to see more close ult econ here on C.
So here comes the combo. It's going to be Saws and Wahiru combo. Punch is going to come out. The basic is going to find Saws of F Ball with the ultimate.
FW Ball takes point, positioned well. We've seen this one before. It's just about Grok Esports recontesting here. We see the two Ashes fight for the high ground here, this little room. Very, very good to control on Ash with your flying mobility. You have the Mega there.
Yeah, it's a really important part of the map to control for Ash, because it lets you just molly from height and create that split attention that's really important. That's going to be 3 picks.
Yeah, Grok goes down. Push gets snuffed out nearly entirely. They're gonna have to play for A here.
Yeah, they are going to play for A. They're already moving.
Last
They're already set
point.
up. Actually, that means FW Ball is late, but they have ult combo advantage with
See the early Susan pop
Screaming Nimbus and
on the
Susan.
flank.
Yeah, Susan's behind.
Susan in. Tons of dash value here.
Really good damage from Peep. Gets punched, but it's
3 to 3. Okay.
still not. Yeah, and then both Screaming Nimbuses come out at the same time. This is really close, actually.
Yeah, all of this has gone down before the point is actually activated, so now the real contest matters. It seems like FW Ball.
Wait, that was a lot of AoE damage.
More position on point here. Grok Esports down 4. We see the ult from TSG. That gets shut out. Okay. We have about one more chance here for Grok Esports to retake this point if they just group up. Have no ults. Not even a chance of charging any versus a punch.
Well, and a Saw's ult that could potentially be coming up really soon too. Yeah, the ult economy is definitely in the favor of FW Ball, but if the positioning is
Fairly
played
reckless
right,
here. Oh, we see a good punch from Felwinty.
yeah, there was just an ult dump there at the end.
Yeah. Good showing from FW Ball there. Fairly dominant on the domination game mode with the macro sort of play with positioning and ult usage. Though each one of the games this set are on a different game mode, so we'll see how Grok Esports plays on, I believe it's, what is it, Destruction next? On Colony? Yeah, Colony.
Okay.
We did see FW Ball take a game off of Team Koga earlier on Colony, so I'd give them the advantage here. They also have a bar player on a destruction map. It's usually fairly valuable. Don't think FW Ball has a bar. Though the Susan could substitute in. But you don't have those critical stunts for once you take a point.
True. The height control is going to be what's really important on the first part of Colony. Susan, I don't think Susan is hit or miss on this map. It really, really depends. So I'm not entirely sure if they're going to be able to use it as much as they were on Thermal.
Yeah, definitely going to see the flyers here, though. Very, very good on the first point of Colony. Just being
I have a feeling we're going to see Felwinty pull out the Zeta.
Yeah, Zeta Ash. Likely
Yeah.
coming from both teams here.
You think we'll see the Uni again?
I feel like the Uni comes out from TSG as a counter. Probably not to start off with, but maybe if he feels that it's the right decision. That's what we've seen previously, is TSG on Saz and then swapping to Uni when it doesn't work out.
Yeah, Colony is one of those interesting maps where there is a lot more variation what you can do, but the general idea is the same, right? You set up on the height if you're defenders, if you're attackers, you try and take the waypoint. You push underneath, you try and take the ramp to gain the height control, and then you go from there. The real question is, I just don't know what unit. You think I don't know if Peeb might try and do who's defense? It's Grok.
Grok is defense on Colony.
Peeb might try and do the Mahiru play. At least for the first waypoint, maybe.
It
And then
could
switch
work out
to-
because sometimes you do end up in a standstill where you're just sort of poking back and forth when you're on offense when you can't push through, especially on the waypoint when people are positioned on the high ground. People coming from waypoint, it's hard to push through unless you go under or through some sort of flank or have your flyers go over. Could see something like that.
Yeah, and then I was thinking maybe he switches over to not to give too much, not to give too many ideas, but then switches over to Susan for the second set of points because just the more close quarters nature of the second set of bomb points is way more advantageous to Susan, and the way that like that whole area is set up feels way more like a domination map anyway. So it could heavily favor Susan in that second half, whereas he plays Mahiru in this first one.
Yeah, the mobility as well, very, very important for the second point on Colony, especially after
Yeah.
waypoint.
Yeah, absolutely. And the ability just to have that presence underneath the enemy spawn room.
Move around from health packs, and then you can get people as they drop.
Yeah.
It's a flanker's dream to be under the that point, like a Z2R Barb, Susan.
Well, the Susan,
Close
especially
range.
with the self-sustain, right?
Yeah. Looks like we're starting
This is a
soon.
destruction mission.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to be jumping in here real soon. Going to be able to see exactly what it's going to be. All right, come on. Where's the profile coordination? No, what is this, guys? Come on. All right, nobody wants it. Nobody wants the aim advantage.
Yeah,
That's fine.
nothing.
Guys, it's about squad cohesion.
This could
Right.
cost them the game.
It could. It could. I've seen it happen.
You see TSG hovering the unicorn off rip.
Off rip will be an interesting choice, especially on a especially on attack. No, the defense. On defense is interesting.
It is what we saw last time,
Your mission is to destroy both targets.
where they just positioned high ground and sustained themselves with the uni. It was very hard for the opposing team to retake. Do you see Peeb on Susan? We don't see the Barb come out from basic. Switching it up.
See, no, this is what I was expecting a little bit. Z2R to come out. Z2R on this map is very, very scary, especially on this first set of bomb points, because the ability to just be running around on that lower ground, grabbing the small health packs that are all over on the outside, very close to the points, but still on the outside of the fights, and to just dip in and out of all the cover that exists, that's going to be really, really difficult to deal with, especially if Grok isn't able to maintain height control consistently, or has difficulty chasing if they go around chasing.
The
attack.
verticality isn't as bad for Z2R here because the ramps all around the map where Z2R is going to be anyways lets him traverse the map very well with his horizontal mobility, with his longer dashes. Don't actually see the Zeta from Grok.
That's interesting. So they don't even try to contest the waypoint at all. They just let FFW Ball take the waypoint and then just immediately push up. Droidical is already in. What is Droidical on the saws? That's interesting. So yeah, they didn't even try and contest the way in defend waypoint. They just let them take it and push up. That small connector area between the waypoint and A point height that Castian just came through, that's where basic is right now. that's really the power position on this map, especially specifically on these 2 bomb points. And to just give that up for free, I don't know. That seems really risky to me, and it seems to have paid off for FOE Ball.
Yeah, they played positionally very well. They had their flyers coordinate with the people pushing and had people from all different angles shooting where there isn't, much cover on the high ground, so it's very hard to deal with. They played that differently than the last team that they fought on this map.
Here. Gets saved. Good
3 picks.
crossfire.
See the swap to Barb from basic.
I don't think Rat's gonna be able to. Yeah.
They're not going to be able to contest this bomb. They had 2 pushes here fail.
Yeah, it's better to.
They're just going to go for the choke on waypoint now.
Yeah, it's better just group up, make sure you're not staggered, set up, wait for the push, farm ult. Do 2 is gonna come out Felwinty and Droidical at the same time.
Big Zeta ult on 4.
Yeah, that was a really good stun.
Do you see 2 in return?
Keeps in. There was that armor. There was that armor from the uni saving TSG for just a couple of extra seconds.
But we do see the momentum here at FOE Ball's favor. To take the waypoint, they're going to be actually going upper here, like they're positioning for A, and now they're split.
Well, the idea here is you push the height, you gain height control, and you drop to B. You plant it, and then you play underneath their spawn, right? So
yeah,
that's the general setup that you want to go for. Now, it seems like there was a little bit of a momentum issue when it came to FOE Ball, or a decision-making issue that caused them to go, I don't know about this, hesitate, and it allowed Grok to reset. And now it seems like Detroit's, you're right, yeah, it's going to pop the ult, going to go down, but it's going to give his team potentially the momentum shift that they needed to retake.
See the counter down after.
Well, I don't know.
Down 3. Looks like they can get a plant here. Barb is back up. He doesn't get it in time, but that is 2 fully confirmed there. Looks like they're going to be able to swing right back and defuse immediately. Nearly in time, but doesn't seem to matter here. They're going to keep up the pressure, though, coming through the tunnel.
It's really smart, though, what they did, what FOE Ball did, right? Because they planted, and they understand that they were staggering. So what they did is they said, okay, let's just give up the bomb, it's fine, it was 1 plant, whatever. Technically, the game is winnable. Let's reset, use that bomb as a distraction so we can regroup and we can make another concerted push later on.
Yeah, we see Grok
Instead of continuing
down
to stagger
5
over.
here, going to be able to get the B plant here.
All stacked up.
Susan goes in vain. See the Barb ult come out, gets 1. It's another hit for 700 on the Zeta.
It's not going to be enough, though. Peeb with the ult is just causing a lot of mayhem, forcing them to sit and wait and focus on him while his team cleans up the back line, is able to get that bomb planted, and is able to potentially start securing this low ground here. I really, really hope that FOE Ball understands that they need to get underneath that enemy spawn and start securing that. Because giving that space up for free.
Blank goes in. Just a bit too low to actually get the value on that. We see Grok Esports staggering a lot, not being able to fully push and just die 1 by 1 instead of being able to coordinate. They do have the Dom ults. Go in. Enough time?
Oh, yeah.
Potentially. Nope.
Whoa.
Close.
Was that the Barb stun?
Looked like Barb stun and something else. Dom ult. Yeah, okay.
Ooh, tragic. So yeah, that was the Dom ult. Yeah, Dom ult killed the diffuser, and then the Barb killed the Dom. So unfortunate series of events. Just not in the right order. Not fast enough. Let's see what that damage is looking like at the end of the round. Okay, okay. Decent bit across the board. Felwinty, though, that 22k on that Zeta.
Everyone. 23 and 2. Yeah, the Grok Esports is missing out on the Zeta, and we can see how good that is for Effort We Ball here.
It shouldn't normally be a problem, right? Because you would have the Z2R to go catch the flyers as they drop down. But I think what's happening is Zach is screening off Dwym, and I think that that's what's really like making it so that it's hard for Dwym to catch the flyers.
Yep.
Let's see what happens here. No changes to... Actually, yeah, so it's TSG now on the saws. Basic's gone to the Amber. And they're going for a waypoint push early. Ooh, Basic's getting put low real quick. TSG, though, taking the space. Trying to get that high control. Is going to get it. He's going to go down for it. Is his team able to capture the... His team hasn't captured the waypoint yet.
They're just playing on the high ground here. They aren't... They do go for the sneaky plant, but they don't get it.
It is a large enough distraction
range,
to get the waypoint, though.
just too low health of a character to be able to get that done there. You see Felwinty very dominant, just being able to fly up here and shoot down on people without much counterplay. Yeah, gets a pick on the Dom there. Do you see a Z2R battle in the backline here between Dime and Zach?
TSG swapped over.
To Gundam.
Yeah, swapped over to Gundam. Is probably going to be looking for that Zeta. Waypoint gets taken, though. So, it's now a reset, and Grok is going to have to find a way to get to that waypoint. Regain control, push onto that height. Here.
Looks like they're sending all 6 to waypoint.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do it. Like, that's one of those things. You have to retake this waypoint, because pushing from waypoint is just so much more advantageous than pushing from spawn. And especially the opportunity for that split push.
Do you see Zach go down? Looks like Grok is pushing lower, going for a plant on B. Still do have high control, they just barely don't get it. See Grok.
2
5 on
Bastion,
Grok.
4.
Total team kill. Looks like F-Witwy Ball still has a lot of their ults. Grok has nothing just ready yet. 2 minutes left. They will be able to charge some of their ults in that time. Maybe look for a last desperation push if they can bait things out here.
See, this is one of those consistency things, though, that I've seen with F-Witwy Ball, is that their ult economy consistently seems to be better than Grok's. And that just leads into being able to take better fights in the long run. So Felwinty's going to throw out his ult. He's going to find, I think he found 1.
Yep, got 1 with it.
Yeah, 1, yeah. Just another stagger makes
You see
Grok
Dom go down.
hesitant
Cash
push.
in. Trade 1 for 1 there. Okay,
Gets-
Dom gets rezzed.
Gets rezzed, yeah. Zach's gonna go for an axe. Where did that...
We've successfully captured the waypoint.
Waypoint gets flipped.
Everyone down but TSG. Looks like they do have their ults charged, so we might be able to see something last second here. A desperation push to get control.
Yeah, so this is where it's gonna get really interesting, right? Because Grok has 5 ultimates. He's gonna have all 6. and then FOE Ball is going to be sitting on 5 ultimates as well. So this is just going to turn into a massive ult dump. So the layering of who goes first, who uses what where is going to be really important. Detroit Super Red throws his out. You have Droidicool throwing out this Sazzy ult. Now Castian is throwing out his Screaming Nimbus. Dwyme's going for an axe.
And the members of Grok Esports fall one by one.
That
FOE
losing
Ball.
Ash Punch.
You just don't have the time to get back onto point.
That's tragic. I think it's gonna... Is that gonna close it out?
That's gonna close it out 2-0 for FOE Ball.
There's an opportunity here with the Gundam ult. But they have to... No. This wasn't fast enough. Yeah, that's gonna be GG.
A very dominant showing from FOE Ball.
Agreed. Well played.
Wasn't like Grok
think-
Esports couldn't get the picks they did, they just couldn't convert, and the like macro decisions of FOE Ball were usually better with the ulticon and like larger scale positioning.
Yeah, the ulticon, the larger scale positioning definitely is what gave FOE Ball the wins here. There was good micro play though from Grok. Alrighty.
We
Hey,
are
ladies and gentlemen.
back.
It is I, Garmazabi. I'm joined now with, again, BoonDiggles, another caster. I'm going to be casting over for the finals, as we've seen a couple of pretty solid matchups here. We just saw, what was it, F It Ball, and what was the other? Was it Grok?
Rock
that we just saw?
Esports. Yep.
No, I was really here out rooting for Grok Esports, but F It Ball just showing the entire tournament some outstanding moves, showing that, hey, we're out here, we're balling, we're going to ball as hard as we possibly can. And, Grok Esports, it kind of sucks. Brought that artificial intelligence, but wasn't quite intelligent enough for that push, for some of those pushes we saw.
Yeah. It was still a good showing, though. Just a few different macro decision-making issues with the positioning and alt usage. Though, for this next match of Grand Finals, we are going to get the run back between Serenity and F It We Ball. Before, in the winners finals, we saw Serenity take the set 2-1, arguably the closest set in the series here. We're going to see if F It We Ball has what it takes to bring it back. They are on the loser's side, so if F It We Ball takes this set, we're going to go to a bracket reset for Grand Finals.
Bracket reset. Man, in the Rising Stars tournament, this is really ultimately showing down who is going to come out the Rising Star, with some of the top 4 teams going into the Legends tournament coming out on the 26th of October. Stay tuned for that. And as Boone, I do got a question. Who's been so far your Rising Star player throughout this whole tournament?
We
it's
didn't get to see some of the teams on the losers side. I was spectating personally some of the other teams.
What a fumble.
What was
But,
that?
I mean, man, so far some of the new talent we've seen, some returning, also old and new. It's been very interesting to come see a lot of some new players even hop out. Bunch of players, some of the names I do recognize, specifically Cassian, Team Crazed, Omerta, Derpitar, Droid, all coming back. I do see some other new heads in here. Vaxel, we see Johnny Fire. I see Cafu, Glass, some other names I'm unfamiliar with. And it's honestly so nice to see a lot of new talent coming here. And I'm also hoping to see that too with the Legends tournament coming up soon.
It looks
so
like
far,
we
what's
are
been-
not doing a bracket reset.
We're
Saw
not
that.
doing
I
a
saw that
bracket
on the
reset.
tournament page. Okay, no bracket reset. That's my bad.
Okay.
So it's just going to be a best of 3 between Serenity and F We Ball, and winner takes all.
Winner takes all. So we now switch over to map bans. Take a look at some of these bans, starting off with F We Ball, banning Canyon Base. Banning 2 capture point maps. In my opinion, capture point maps just aren't necessarily the favorite, unless you want to play Harbor City, which seems like Serenity fired back and banned.
Harbor is one of the maps that you can really play to your team's strength on if you have like a bunch of aim heavy players with like the sniper dynamis holding down the long stretched points and chokes on that map. But I would suspect that as a ban.
That's
Of
crazy
a bunch of
coming
different names.
from. Sorry to interrupt, but that's crazy coming from F We Ball. I'm seeing their player lineup, and I see Felwinty, I see Derpitar, I see Jordacool, Xwar, Peeb, your cat or Replicast, and they have a solid lineup of shooters. I'm kind of surprised that they would go out and ban that.
Looks like Serenity was the one to ban Harbor.
Oh, okay, so they're actually playing against into their strengths.
Yes.
I'm getting the team names mixed up.
Yeah, we have had little mix-ups like that with the display on the team names before, so.
Well, then it seems like they're going to be picking maps soon. What do you think that F We Ball is going to end up picking here?
We have seen a lot of domination today. Things like conveyance facilities as well, large conveyance facilities as a 2-point capture. Recently, we've seen Colony being played. Something like Mountain R&D or Thermal Plant, I suspect will probably get picked. Ironworks as well, we've seen earlier today.
I know R&D and Colony have been some pretty heavy staples, but to hear Conveyance is a little interesting. I know for a lot of the newer teams back in CIL, it became very popular just due to the very scrappy nature, specifically around that second choke, right? That's where pretty much the entire team fights were decided, was along that second choke of the map. And for a lot of these newer teams, it's interesting to see the transition from wanting to move away from traditional, maps such as R&D, UCC, and Thermal, where teams got to learn a lot of the fundamentals and map theory, to some of these more differently structured maps where the pacing is so different. It's like when you're trying to race on a 1,200 meter sprint, but then you go and train for a 2,000 meter medium, like in something like the Tenno Show, for example. We don't really see a whole lot of teams doing that, and it's so interesting to see a lot more teams coming and doing that now in this Rising Stars tournament.
I concur with the racing example. The ironworks and conveyance facilities definitely aren't as orthodox as something like R&D, which we used to see for all of the older tournaments all the time, because it's probably one of the most neutral maps in terms of what you can pick and play on. But something like Ironworks varies wildly in between like the A and C point, where one is a close-up corridor-filled point like A, and then C is just wide open on a high ground where you can just shoot across, and there's not much something like melee units can do. So it's very interesting to see the progression as teams have become more and more fond of the newer maps.
I'm a little bit biased against Ironworks and both Lunar Command. Or is it Lunar? Is it Lunar Command? Is that also the domination map with the 3 different points?
Lunarcom with
Lunarcom. Thank you.
Yeah,
I kept
it's
thinking
vertical instead of horizontally laid out.
Both of those maps, at least, it seems to me Ironworks seems like the better of the two, in how it's played. But just a lot of the domination maps outside of R&D, I'm not particularly a huge fan of. Thermoplant, okay with, but I much rather prefer R&D just because it's very straightforward, and it's a very simple map too. It's not going to have a lot of different you have to go from point A in a cluster, like somewhat open map with that bounce pad in center, all the way out to a full outside fighting. And seeing that Ironworks kind of play out here for some of these other teams here, as maps just got shown up on screen, we have F at Weeball picking Colony, Ironworks then being picked by Serenity, Ministry of Defense being picked by F at Weeball, and Thermal being picked by Serenity here. So some solid choices here for both teams.
Do you see the domination leaning here?
I do, and as you said earlier, domination has been fairly dominant across a lot of the teams here. Do you have any theories as to why that could be?
I think most teams are just very comfortable with the domination game mode, because the 2-point capture and destruction are definitely played a lot differently, but you can just fight on domination. I think that's what a lot of teams have done in their scrims, or like when you load up into a side 7 pug lobby and people are just running maps, they'll usually favor things like domination. So I think that's why it's been more popular today, is it's just what has been played traditionally.
They're also a little bit more simpler too. I agree with you as well in that comparison to something like a bomb map, like with UCC or Colony, where you aren't having to set up for positionings or even develop lineups and then having to push through multiple chokes. With something like domination maps, it's just you're pushing on the point and you capture it. It's very straightforward. Same thing with something like 2CP maps, where you're just pushing onto the point. You might have to do a little bit more holding on chokes, but these domination maps are just fairly straightforward. And seeing in something that's a newer tournament, or at least with newer teams or fresher talent, it's interesting to see that being preferred over something like UCC, which we see a lot in some of the upper teams, where they might have a little bit more leeway in developing map theory.
Yeah, as well, I think the team synergy of some of these teams not being together for so long, being able to just simply to execute a simple plan on something like the domination maps makes it more effective for a team.
And it seems like Conveyance is going to be the decider then, out of these two, correct?
I think so.
Okay, because we're seeing
Based on what I'm
Serenity
seeing.
pick defense and attack over Conveyance. Well, so far, has there been a favorite matchup for you today?
I would probably say the previous winners finals of this, because it was fairly close. You had FOE Ball taking a game off of Serenity, so I'm very excited to see the run back here.
We're seeing some pretty solid rivalry. We haven't seen this type of rivalry since Daiwa Scarlet and Vodka's run in, what race was it? It was the Japanese Oaks, I think, in 05. I gotta get my dates right on that. But we haven't also seen something similar parallel to this with Satoris and Tekka as well during Final Strike. Those two teams developed a pretty hard rivalry with Satoris just barely clawing back on top, nearly getting wiped out in that reverse sweep. So I'm hoping to see some similar, at least, coordination, or at least some very scrappy fighting, and just a lot of ult usage, a lot of brawling from both of these teams here for a really good match, if it seems like it's going to be a matchup again.
Looks like we are gonna be finished with pick bans here for the best of 5. I think I falsely assumed that it was a best of 3 earlier. That's why we have the map picks here.
Gotcha. So it looks like FOE Ball choosing to defend on Colony and Ministry of Defense here, with Serenity picking defense on Ironworks, Advance, and Thermal.
Yeah, definitely favoring towards the more closer ranged maps, like Thermal and Ministry, and to some extent Colony. And
Right,
two out of 3 of the points on Ironworks. As we saw, first banning Harbor, definitely not wanting to play on more of the longer sight lines. Looks like we're starting soon-ish. With an asterisk.
Looking at some of the players here taking suits, do we have any predictions on possible suit changes?
This is a domination mission.
Going to look at the roster here. On Thermal first.
See, not quite title cards matching. A little unfortunate, can't really quite sync up, but I do love to see some of the energy there with people matching title cards. It's always a sight to see.
Team synergy buff.
The mental buff clearly wins these tournaments. As we now see both teams picking suits here, we have Zaku's picking Z2R, Peeb on Susan, Sims Ass, Cashian, Dom, Felwinty, Pale, Droid, being Heartstuck, Saz, back in Saz jail. Saris with the Bard pick, Zara with the Ash. I believe they've been playing Ash for most of this tournament. Grimwood on Z2R, RX Moon, Jim, Smoothie, back in Saz jail. Let's see if he doesn't get benched. And then Johnny Fire on Marisai.
Your goal is to capture
Classic
the
Johnny
target
Fire, RSI.
The mission is about to begin.
Yeah, for a lot of the
Thermal.
close range maps, being able to pick like the Zaku, the Barb, the Susan's going to be very valuable. Going to go to A point first here.
Well, I'll see. It's very curious to see how Serenity here will play into FOE Ball running a Susan. I know that's a very strong suit and has been since its inception. It's a very strong shield breaker suit.
It's going to be very hard for the Saz and especially the Jim to face the Susan, because you can just run through Jims on.
Yeah, and Moon already down for the count.
And we see it. Caster's Curse.
Caster's Curse, or is it probably just the luck of running a Susan already at 22% ult, 25 now. Cassian second with
throw
24.
down in the Zaku duel.
Oh, this seems like a very scrappy fight here. Both teams trying to fight for point. There goes the Zac2R with Droidcool responding, taking out the opposing Saz.
We see FOE Ball maintain control here.
Yeah, just like the name suggests. Yeah, as the name suggests, they're just going to ball out here, take as much space, and vie for as many battles as they possibly can. Still retaining that aggression, taking down Saris. That's going to be their DPS gone. We still see the shields try to push in. They do take down Peep here. Grimwood then gets another pick on Zakus. They're now down 2 players. Serenity might be able to retake this point here.
It's at the point where there's just enough percent to where it's worthwhile. They do have quite the good push here going. Do see the Saz go down.
Let's see if they wanted to hold for at least that 13%. They do hold it. Might be advantage. We don't know until the next point opens up into B. as we now see teams starting to move off and set up.
Fairly similar ult charges here after FOE ball pushed up too far.
Yeah, a little bit too late on the setup there with FOE ball. Serenity already in setup on ramps. FOE ball tries to counter by taking the opposing side, taking height. Very good here, as that now forces Serenity back down. They take a lot of space here and they push them all the way back out. FOE ball is then going to take point here with Felonti already having their ult up compared to the opposing pale at 88. They might see much more advantage here. Also with Droid close to ult as well.
See B open, FOE ball positioned on high. Serenity can't really push up immediately. They do need to group up because they were staggered a lot from the poke. You see something of a push here, then countered by the Hades, which gets flipped by Johnny Fire.
Ouch, FOE ball still retains the hold even after using that Hades ult. That was a very solid coordination there. You see the Ash Punch go out as well, but Johnny Fire's ult go out too. We see Grimwood try to use their ult, doesn't really get a solid pick. Droid just holding the fort down. They are truly balling out here, showing that, hey, if, you know, we could make LeBron cry, surely we can make Serenity cry here.
Very effective counter from the Dom on Serenity. They hold the entire point. I'm going to go to C here. I think Serenity will be... should be set up here. Oh, and then we see a very good act.
Currently up with 2 ults, close to 3. We'll see these Pale, Jim, and the Sazul come up online now. We do happen to see on the opposing team, Zimus and Droid holding onto their ults. It seems like both teams are trying to rotate through ults on for all of these points. We're seeing solid picks here from FOE Ball, already still holding down that C point. They've made good ground. I think they're going to be in a good position here to take this round off from Serenity.
You see the Saz ult. Serenity is back up, and they have a pick on FOE Ball here, or down the Pale. They're going to push onto point here, set up the gym mines, then maintain height control.
Get a pick here. Now it's both shields against the only other opposing shield. We should see the Susan pop out here. Should hopefully start to do a lot of difference with both shields now on point. Droid still holding it down by himself on a wire, on a whim. Just barely able to sustain enough for point. Zarya just by himself. There comes the Susan. Oh, but they don't. Okay, now they do main as cap.
And it is going to go to 100%, so they are going to have to contest here before the end. Though we did see that there were, for about 30 seconds, no one capped the point, because if you have different people on high and low ground, it's very hard to pressure people off. So you can delay and stagger the point a lot on C here on Thermal.
You see Styles try to dive in from Smoothie, not too effective. It seems like the rest of FOE Ball seems to be holding this down pretty strong. We do see Zaku's ult come up. We do see Zara's ult come up. Grimwood unable to get their ult soon enough. Oh, unless they can stagger it long. No, they won't be able to stagger it long enough.
Final push from Serenity.
Smoothie
here.
dives in, dives to Hades. And that's first round.
Fairly dominant from FOE Ball here.
Yeah, some very solid aggressive here. Almost similar to aggressiveness of that in the Stay Gold family. Someone like Orfefe. Or we haven't even seen something similar aggressive to this, like with Omni being contracted to play casuals, allegedly. But just overall, very strong force here. Taking a look at some of the damage, we happen to see Felonti 17.8. Looking at Zaku's with 15.9, close to 16. Taking a look at some of the damage from the opposing team, we're seeing a little bit more even damage spread from both of these teams. Droid, wow, doing it a solid 13k on Saz. Really coming out here and being the shield.
See the Saz being quite a bit lower on the damage charts, and notably the Z2R doing a lot of damage for FOE
I'm not
Ball.
sure if the gym is that effective here for Serenity. You know, you're playing double shield into Susan. That seems more like you're handicapping yourself.
Value, yeah.
It seems like going into FOE Ball, it might be more effective to play something along the lines of a Gundam, or something that can essentially break most of that aggression from FOE Ball. Something to at least stun them out of it. And we do try to see them taking the Marseille, but you're playing a Marseille hook into side 7 latency, which is known to be inconsistent.
There's one Marseille that could do it. I think it's him. He spent a lot of time in the side 7 pugs. Getting it
we'll see
on the different
Johnny
thing.
Fire has that fire in his spirit, as it seems like FOE Ball's already now trying to lock down a point, but loses 2. RedProtocol does pick up one, and they trade out both Sazes. No, they still have both Sazes. I misread that. Seems like Serenity now takes control of point. Jorda's now on 1 and gets punished for it. It's down to a 4v5. We're seeing solid damage come out from both teams. As FOE Ball tries to ball out and take the point, but they are not able to. Serenity's actually trying to hold it down despite the lack of numbers. Managed to get a solid 15% on point. They might be able to recover from this. It's an attempt now to regroup. Zakus does get a pick. It's going to further stagger them, and that should secure them the A hold here.
Looks like they're going to be approaching... No, they're just giving and going to A.
We're going to go into A. It seems like now is the time with about only 10 seconds or so left on that C point. We now see teams trying to group up. We do see Peep trying to get a couple of picks on that back line there, going in now with the Saws, getting in some decent damage. Castian gets down immediately to the Saws. Smoothie, though, falters to the Ash Molly, and it's just being very scrappy here with both teams trading out players.
Down 2 here. Looks like Serenity, yep. 3v3 now.
Guys are fighting early so hard for this point. That point hasn't unlocked yet. Fighting for a point that does not exist. Guys are going to be wasting players and keep staggering, so we're going to see who can win all this stagger fest right now. And it seems like Serenity has most of his players already up. Still, they're trading out a lot of players here. See what happens when that dive comes out from FOE Ball, but it seems like they aren't having enough players to contention. We do see the Ash Punch now go out on the Saws, secures it. Just the Z2R now, so Serenity should be able to now hold the point fairly easily.
Yeah, it's just really about holding the control there.
But FOE Ball, look, they already now have a lot of their ults online they might be able to retake. Peeb does have their ult online, but they're really low. Felonty also up with ult. Peeb does die, not with ult being used. Yeah, Serenity is actually going to be able to hold this point here.
Using the Hades here to secure it. They're going to be able to set up on B.
Yeah, wow, Serenity's push there just did not fare well. Fared worse than Vodka's performance at the 2007 Arima Keenan. Both teams now transitioning on to B point. Seems like FOE Ball trying to take a lesson out of that last push and try to get it set up as early as possible. We see the Susan dive in. Do get some damage out in there. Taking a look at the ults, we do see Susan again with the ult and Felonty as well with the pale unused. Cashin should get, Android should get their ult online soon enough. Taking a look at Serenity, we do see the Z2R, the Jim, and the Saz ult. Johnny Fire should hopefully get their ult up soon, sitting at around 90%. Zakus just trying to have a 1v1 here with the Saz and just gets absolutely obliterated.
Too hard to break through the shield. Do
As
you see the gem mine get 2 here?
Solid positioning. We happen to see now the Z2R ult come out, trades out for the Ash. Keep taking out the Saz
here. Do have the Dom ult. Probably gonna group up for recontest with it here. Serenity not running a Dom.
Now see, trying to reset up here. Serenity's a little bit staggered. FOE Ball is trying its best to regroup, and it seems like they do manage to regroup here on the upper. Serenity does try to maintain holding. They do have health disadvantage here. We'll see if they can manage to hold on to this and retake it. But Serenity just coming in, cleaning up like the mates they are, and it's showing, oh wait, no, they might not be able to. FOE Ball's just locking in.
Good percent, though, from Serenity being able to hold on to the point as long as possible. Only give FOE Ball about 15 or so percent. Looks like A is going to be the final point. Neither of the teams are going to be fighting on B now. FOE Ball is going to be advantaged here with the positioning since they did have B, so they can just walk straight to A.
Sorry, getting a pick on their tank. They're going to try to get the res here, and it will come up. They're now trying to hold off for this A objective. They're doing very solid work here.
FOE Ball down 1. Serenity tries to push through the choke on A. But still, FOE Ball is positioned up on...
Serenity looks like they're going to have ults in their favor now. 4 ults online. Grimwood close. They do use the punch here. What does it get used on? It's hard to tell. You now see FOE Ball still trying to hold. They get a pick. The Marisai ult comes out. Soloed Fenty.
Still do see every member of Serenity up here.
They are staggering a bit, though. They aren't able to really push in.
Could be the final fight here if they don't touch.
Ash Punch come out.
Peeve jump in.
If we ball, they might be balling out here.
Get the retake.
Taking a look at the ults here, the only two people that may be close to getting their ult would be Droid and Zaku's. Saris does already have their ult, and RX Moon close to also getting their ult. This is going to be a pretty tight hold here.
Definitely gonna be looking at the usage of the Hades here.
Yeah, with Felonty also playing smart and playing that head glitch there, trying to get as much damage as they can, but
You see
balls
Johnny
to
Fire
their
get
side.
Felonty.
Trying to get pushed out, but get blocked off by the Ash Molly. We have
Down
to see
two
Effortly
now.
Ball pushing in, down to
Off
Saris
Hades.
pulls off Hades, is looking to get a couple picks, confirms Zaku, tries to confirm
What's
the
the
body.
point?
Droid comes, pushes in, gets very close to trying to contend for the Pale, gets chased around, and unfortunately does manage to trade out, but also get traded out by the enemy Pale. They try to hold Effortly Ball, locking in, securing point. We now see Z2R's ult come up, but dies. We might... No, they won't be able to rehold. They have to hold here for another 10%. And Serenity has no ults in their favor.
Final chance for Serenity to retake.
I don't think they're going to be taking it. Effortly Ball is just locking in here. They have the Z2R ult ready. Oh, and he whiffed!
The missed axe from Zaku.
Unfortunate, as Effortly Ball, though, still, despite the whiff, does manage to clean up. We happen to see 2 picks come out here from the side of Serenity, but I don't think it's going to be enough to hold. Peeb then gets the final kill on the Smoothie King.
And that is the first match going to Effortly Ball.
Effortly Ball truly locking in and balling out like the Los Angeles Lakers during, oh my gosh, what game was it? Was it around the 2012 finals, I believe? I can't remember exactly what basketball game they played where they had absolutely locked in. But taking a look at some of the medals here, we see Fel with the 43 Zims, 32.9, Droid with 26.3k. Damage blocked, quite a bit of numbers here up on the board for Effortly Ball. I'm very curious to see how Serenity compared using 2 shields into a Susan.
Yeah. Definitely this Droid Cool having a much easier time being able to play the saws without the melee unit being able to pass through it, put pressure on him.
Taking a look at that was just Thermal that was just played. What is our next map we're now going to? Is it Ministry of Defense?
Ministry or Colony? Not sure.
Well,
Those
judging from that
construction
last
maps.
game alone, okay.
Colony.
According to Prod, we're going to Colony. So, from that last game alone, we saw very, very strong aggression out here coming from Effortly Ball, just moving in from any angle and specifically securing some of those early holds onto point. We did see Serenity try to do that, and it came up if they were able to secure the pick onto the Susan early on. But Effortly Ball just knew exactly what to be doing at all times during those fights and getting set up as early as possible, making sure that they don't drop their Susan to secure specifically height or even have ult advantage on those points.
We did see a very dominant showing from Effortly Ball previously on Colony in the last set with their Zeta and Ash flyers and positioning as well on the first point.
Do we have any suspicions of any suit changes from either team?
I definitely the Zeta will be coming out from at least one of the teams.
Zeta is fairly strong here. I will actually put my money on a new coming out. New's also fairly strong here, just with those funnels being able to lock down that first point specifically. Probably maybe out in the second choke as well with the ult. I'm hoping again to see, Serenity, if they can just pull out a Gundam here, they might actually be able to contest with the Susan.
Yeah, playing around as many stuns as possible on your suits to be able to stop someone from planting or defusing. Very important on both of the destruction maps that are going to be played here.
Outside of Colony, did we have any, or at least outside of this match specifically, did we have any other matches that were played on Colony today that were of a notable showing?
The Grok Esports versus Effortly Ball, and then I believe the previous set before that both played Colony one time. Recently, at the start I don't think we saw Colony, but past few sets we have seen teams favor Colony more.
Colony can be a very how would I say this? It's a very, well, I wouldn't say straightforward, but it plays a little bit differently than a lot of the other. Actually, no, it's fairly consistent. My bad. I'm thinking of Ministry of Defense bomb map for some reason, which I thought was next. That Colony is fairly, at least one of the fairly straightforward bomb maps in comparison to other maps like Ministry. Only being is that second choke into Waypoint being a little bit more difficult. Otherwise, the setup for first point's fairly straightforward.
I do think the defensive position on the first point of Colony, if you can just maintain the high ground control, you can do a first bomb shutout. It is not as favored for the attacker as some of the other destruction maps.
It also does depend on where that plant's going off, as we saw earlier. I forget which team it was, but it was maybe it was Serenity securing the upper hold on UCC earlier today, and choosing to play the Mahi into it, which was a pretty smart plan, I gotta say. I've never seen a team try to pull that off before and have hold a plant for a favor of specific suit that specifically has a lot of stuns and damage.
It's like
As we
we're
now move on
starting
to the
soon.
game very soon here. At least I'm getting notes from Prod that both teams might be getting ready soon, so we're going to be transitioning over into the matching colony soon here. And I'm biased. I'm going to say that F-Elite Balls is going to continue to ball out with that energy. Would be cool to see something new come out from Serenity, though. I would like to see them try to contend. They've been trying to maintain that strong energy, trying to ball out per se, but it seems like just unparalleled strength.
You want to see a close set here. Previously saw them take games off of each other, so we know it is an even enough match. Serenity might be able to take back another game here.
As we now load in, I'm taking guesses onto suit changes here. We happen to see RX Moon. We see Johnny Fire back on the Mare side, Smoothie back on Saz. We do see the Zeta come out from both teams on Felonty and Vaxel, RX Moon. Oh no, Vaxel is now switching to Dynamez, which is also a very strong pick here. I do have to agree with that on Colony. Grimwood taking Z2R, RX on Pale. So a very similar team comp from the last game. F8 Ball seeing Zims on the Ash, Felonty on Zeta, Casting on Dom, Peeb on Susan, Zaku's on Zaku, and Droid back on Saz. Could be a bit of a closer game here, in my opinion.
Yeah, notably Peeb on the Susan here wants to be closer up for this match here than something like the enemy team picking the Dynamis.
Now see F8 Ball getting set up here. Looks like they're going to be trying to do a 3-3 split, possibly, or instead just opt in a full... No, they're going to try to opt to hold.
We have
Bomb,
seen
it seems.
a myriad of approaches from offense on Colony here on how to actually approach bomb. We've seen split pushes, we've seen 6-man to Waypoint, we've seen like sneaky backdoor plants on the first bomb to set up for someone to go down and disarm. Wonder what...
I will say that is something that parallels to it with Ministry, where that first push, some people would much rather just dive for bomb and then go to object and go to Waypoint later, but it seems like the standard here, at least for what Serenity is now playing, is going directly to Waypoint. We happen to see Felonty come out with the Zeta taking a lot of damage and just backing off in time before falling.
Yeah, being able to flex the Flyers value here with F8 Ball running both Zeta and Ash, going to be able to poke the opposing team a lot.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It seems like this map does favor Flyers heavily on the first point, and it seems like F8 Ball are going to try to play into that to their strengths as well. We do see Grimwood take down Castian and then Johnny Fire going down to the Susan as both teams trade out a player. Droid getting knocked down to low and goes down to RX Moon as RX Moon now tries to take a hold of bomb site by himself, no less. Challenging the Zeta down there. Both of them are fairly low, but unfortunately dies. You know, that biosensor is something else to mess with. You don't want to mess with that when it's full charge. Serenity now trying to vie for control up here. Peeb now commanding space as well, but is caught out by the Saz. We're going to see if he managed to get pick here. Sakus does try to come out and support, but it's looking a little sketchy here.
Yeah, FW Ball is letting Serenity push up quite far on high ground, trying to establish a control for a plant.
Serenity does manage to get the plant here, but they are dropping a little bit here and there. Let's see, FW Ball does not have health, somewhat has health advantage now. They do happen to have the Zeta ult up, does not manage to get the defuse. This B hold is very smart, by the way, in the fact that you can hold it not only from below, around some of the heal pods, but also hold it up on directly on A site with the Greats. And they're playing it very smart to even position a Pale up there with the heal behind cover, which forces the enemy team to try to play around the heal pod or even send out some of your flyers.
The Zeta ult go out onto
holding here. Yeah, very solid position here from Serenity on bomb, having Pale play that upper.
FW Ball still playing up, though there's not much time on the bomb. Could be risky here.
FW Ball might be trying to go dive for it, but it seems like they're just happen to hold. We do see Grimwood use out with the Z2R and Vaxel with the Dynamiz ults. Saying FW Ball now has to back up. And Serenity now begins to group back up. We happen to look at the Marisite ult. Should come up here in any second now. Smoothie's very close to theirs. The Dom ult did just get used, and that might have been a small blunder here to push up into the second choke, depending on how stacked the team. Zaku then uses his ult into that huge line, and does manage to help get secure too with Peep and Felwenty. Smoothie then goes down the droid, as that push already is gone.
We do see Vaxel swap onto the Dom here. The value not just having Dynamiz on first smoke to be able to poke from range.
You happen to look up on the ults for the opposing team. Ball Zims is very close to Ass Punch. Castion already does have their ult up. And Fel might be the second closest to getting theirs at 61. If they can land a few heads, they should be able to get their ult up soon.
Definitely the ult advantage for Serenity here.
Yeah, definitely higher up here. They try to get the Ash Punch. Doesn't really find that big of a pick here. Does find the Dom, who does have ult ready. But it seems like there's a little bit miscoordination here between the teams. Serenity is still managing the hold despite that Ash Punch that came out. Oh no, they actually are managing to take it now.
We do see the Hades from RX Moon get a lot of value here. Looks like they can just barely take control over the waypoint.
Zeta and the Saz try to vie here for same attention. Zeta's then going to get caught out by the rest of the Serenity team. Serenity then tries to back up, see if they can try to do a retake here. They might be a little too outnumbered. We're going to see what happens. We do see the Dom ult come out from cast. Does manage to try to kind of a few pickups, and they do manage to hold space here again. Serenity not quite holding on to that objective.
Retaking the choke, very, very effective there. Slow them down. They only have 2.5 minutes left. Use most of their ults there. Just have the Marisite left, while FW Ball still has the Punch, the Zeta, and the Axe, and soon to be Peeb's ults.
2.5 minutes is still quite a bit of time, so realistically anything can happen here. We do happen to see now the Mahi ult come out from Peeb, get some damage in there, just forcing them back to even take that space, which is going to get FW Ball a lot more room here to work with. We might see a Zeta ult come out here, though, on the side of FW Ball if they try to push in again. Not a whole lot of ults here on the side of Serenity. We're only going to see the Z2R and maybe the Marisite. Still solid uncontention aggression here from the side of FW Ball. Serenity does try to push in, gets immediately blasted. Smoothie King just getting absolutely clobbered there. Casting then picks up another pick on the side of Z2R. See the Z2R punch, but nothing comes out. Does manage to get back, and that armor also saving him. Once again, that armor is insanely strong if using it in the right circumstances.
Very dominant team wipe there from FW Ball, though Serenity does have the Dom Hades ult combo coming online soon. They are
Punch
going to
should
have
be soon as well at 83.
Yeah, we're going to have to make a big push here. Time's running out. They only have a minute left.
Very close. They still have plenty of time if they can coordinate enough here. We now see the Dom Hades come out. It's absolutely clobbered by Grimwood. We're now down one player. FW Ball trying to hold this as best we can. We have to see the Hades ult come out, trying to deal with the Saz. Just barely manages to claw his way out of that fight. Sarah then gets the pick. Casting getting 2 solid picks here. Same thing with Peeb. FOE Ball still holding after the Dom Hades. And
Yeah,
the Marek ult as well. Very solid hold.
Yeah, the counter ults from FOE Ball to be able to shut out that push was very effective, like the Zeta ult, the stun. Gonna have maybe one more attempt from Serenity here to be able to push up and plant. Looks like they're down there.
You happen to see the Mahi ult come back up, still forcing them out. Does manage to get a pick. Johnny Fire just straight out with Cassian, but does get the revive. Happen to see the full biosensor online from Felwinty as well. Holding it, I believe that should be game. They're able to push in quite fast enough. Arc's been trying to just get as many picks as he can here. Ash Punch comes out, but it's no use.
It's not enough.
Yeah, that second
Very
choke
good
can
hold
be
on that choke. Yeah.
Yeah, that second ult can be absolutely deadly and an absolute skill diff for anyone who tries to push in, even if you're going to be using the combos such as Dom Hades, where you're having speed and just pure raw damage come out. So long as you have a team that's very coordinated, very level-headed, something similar to we see at the Tenno show or Kikiko show race courses. It's just a very, very hard diff in general if you cannot push out there. Taking a look at some of the damage, we're taking a look at Felwinty with 25.4k on Zeta. That biosensor is nothing to joke with. Yeah. Keep following up with 18.8 and 22 picks, tying for most kills on FOE Ball with Droid, 22 and 15.6. Taking a look at Serenity here, we happen to see Zaru with 18.6, 13, and Smoothie King leading most kills at 15 kills and 11.7 damage. Or 11,700 damage, sorry. Close to 11.8. So I think the teams here are a little bit more spread even, at least in terms of skill gap. But FOE Ball just showing a lot more solid coordination.
Yeah, I think the disparity between the Zeta pick versus not having one to match another flyer was a very big deal for FOE Ball here. Even though it was a dominant hold on the second choke, they did get through the first point, so we could see a full hold here to bring it back.
I think we might actually manage to see a full push here by FOE Ball. No changes to the team comp. I mean, if it ain't broke, there's no need to fix it. But otherwise, we'll see what happens with Serenity if they can manage to secure this. They are playing a little bit more into the defensive here with the Dynamis and Marasai being solid defensive options. But we'll see how that plays out to going into the Susan, which is a very good shield breaker unit.
Going to see Serenity retreat back to point the high ground. They are being attacked from multiple angles. Felwinty holding this upper area, being able to poke the people on high ground, while the rest of the team pushes through the waypoint choke.
We've all just getting, it seems like they're getting poked out here. Some solid defensive here. He does manage to secure a pick onto the enemy Saz, so there's going to be some fairly scrappy fightings around the outsides of the map here. Most of Serenity is still secured on the point, but no one's made that call out for the Susan yet. I'm surprised the Saz did not calm that the Susan's going to be on the flank, because they now managed to get in, and they're going to be cornered by Zal and Vaxel.
Nice recovery from Serenity here.
Very solid recovery. We happen to now see, again, still very much scrappy fighting. Saz waiting for the rest of the team to group up and trying to at least contest for some ground. Misses the axe on the droid. Droid counters with his own axe and does manage to land the final kill on Smoothie. Happen to see now teams are trying to control for A point. We will see a plant come out. It's very scrappy fighting here on this first point.
See a back cap on the waypoint there.
We'll see if that works out in benefit of the Serenity's defense here. We now happen to see both teams trying to fight for that top objective. Cassian just trying to go back to deal with that back cap and maybe even retake point, but does falter. So it's going to be pretty solid back cap. Oh, they do manage to take it back now, but that was a pretty solid back cap by Grimwood. Still holding off on that choke by himself. We're going to see how long he can contest that for as the rest of the teams hold for 8 point. Bomb now at 22 seconds. Teams just trading out left and right. It's a very solid fight here from both teams.
You see the punch come out from Ash.
Now happen to see some other ults come up online too. We happen to see Grim's ult, Johnny Fire's ult come up. Felwinty does have their ult up soon. Droid will get their ult soon. Castian, sorry, should also get their ult soon as well. So we're seeing solid ult economy. Arxman also at 97 on Pale. As Serenity now managed to secure the plant. Or no, FOE Ball secures the plant. Colors are
Very
mixed
close
up.
to maintaining the control up there to be able to disarm, but just not enough. Very close.
Seems like Serenity, though, might be at a disadvantage, considering that they were down a few players. If FOE Ball takes advantage of that, we'll see if they can take advantage of it as fast as they possibly can. Trying to push in from a lot. That's very staggered on the choke there, though, from FOE Ball. We have to see the Susan come in. Did not manage to land a pick. Thankfully did not use their ult. FOE Ball also having all 6 of their ults here. So they can be very flexible. Bomb only requiring 25%, by the way. So they have plenty of time to work with here.
The axe in from Grimwood.
If Serenity can play this smart and play into their heavy pushes here, Grimwood, Zaku's does also manage to use their ult. Grimwood taking down the enemy Zaku. If Serenity can play this right and use that Marasite ult to possibly block one of their pushes when it comes out from the Zeta, or the Susan here is now pushing with Dom and Saz ult. This is going to be quite a heavy push here. I'm going to see if this comes out on top for FOE Ball.
You see Fel with the Zeta ults.
We happen to see the Saz ult come out from the sides of Serenity. We happen to see the Zeta ult come out. Does manage to secure a pick, and they now manage to secure bottom of B site. That was quite an aggressive push.
They need to make a desperation push here. Only 5 seconds left on the bomb.
As they try to go for a defuse, FOE Ball managing to land a couple of picks. We did see Serenity manage to get 3 picks there, but man, that push was so aggressive. I mean, the push came out after Waypoint faster than Twin Turbo's performance at the starting gates during the Mokurin show back in 07. We're seeing some very unparalleled aggression here coming out from FOE Ball.
Yeah, on the choke before the Waypoint on the second point, Serenity did manage to stabilize after FOE Ball tried to make a very aggressive push with the momentum from taking the first point and getting a few picks, but it ended working out.
Ran out in the nick of time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Now see Fel went through 32, Droid at 25 KP, 6 enemy units destroyed, that being the elims for a body. Again, it's just insane coordination here from the side of FOE Ball, and taking a look at some of the players too. Some of these players played in the older CIL team, Rizzards. A team that also generated a bit of controversy for allowing some new type players come on and play. I happen to not know too much about that myself, but you know, we're seeing a very strong team roster here coming out from the side of FOE Ball. As we're now entering into, I believe, match point for the side of FOE Ball. They just need one more win to secure their entry, or at least the winning entry, into the upcoming tournament. Now, the Legends tournament, correct me if I'm wrong, is it top 3 or top 4? Top 4. Prada's informing me it is top 4. So, irregardless of the outcome, both these teams will move on to Legends. But FOE Ball does have probably the more impact, or at least is the more favorable outcome into that tournament compared to Serenity here. Granted, anything could change in the next 2 weeks. Are we predicting possibly some lineup changes, maybe even suit changes?
Potentially, we are going to Serenity's map pick of Ironworks, so clearly they see something in that map that they can play for to potentially bring back a few games here.
We did see a couple other Marasite picks come out to Ironworks. I did know a lot of people tried to play at this tournament and to some mixed success. So I'm very curious to see how Serenity is going to play Marasite into a domination map. Which they tried to work on Thermal and it didn't particularly work out in their favor. Maybe we might see a sub out, maybe we might see a suit change. Whereas FOE Ball has just been fairly consistent overall. So I don't think I'm going to see any possible changes out from here. I think they're going to resume Fel on the Zeta, which is very strong for that map. We'll probably still see Ash with just very strong CC ability. Still see the Saz, still see the Susan, as well as with the Pale. We might see a possible change off of Dom into something else, maybe something like a Unicorn for those much more tighter fights around the B and I believe the C point, which is inside. It could be the A point. I get the two confused.
A point is the one inside and C is the one outside.
Okay, yeah. So we might see a small change to compensate for the possible hooking ability from the Marseille on those smaller objectives could be something like another shield unit, something like a hype or a gym could possibly be taken out here.
This is
Are
a
we?
domination mission.
So we transition here now into the game. Are you predicting any suit changes?
I think it'll be closer to the thermal comp that they ran.
And we do happen to see a player sub out Hevia Muzu for who exactly? Was it Peep? I think they subbed out Peep for Hebiazumu, whose name I just now butchered. No, they have Peep. Who did they sub out? They subbed out, according to Prod, they subbed out Zims, who was one of their pretty solid Ash players. We're going to see F8 Ball picking the lineup. We have Cast on Dom, Peeb, Mahi, Zach still running Z2R, Droid, oop, he may be switching, Droid back on Susan, Hebe on the Saz now, Felwinty on Ash, taking a look at Serenity, Grim on Z2R, Vaxel, Dom, Smoothie, Saz, Saris, Pale, RX, Moon on Jim, and Zero on Asho. Some minor comp changes here, but we did see a player come and get subbed out from the side of F8 Ball. So we're going to see how this works toward their favor. Maybe Hebia Muzu probably feels more comfortable on these Dom maps.
We are going to see Moon run the Jim into the Susan, which seemed to be a point of contention on the first map.
Yeah, double shield in the Susan is a bit of a risky take here, and I still disagree with that choice on the side of Serenity. Again, you need to be running something like a Gundam, which should definitely favor more Dom maps too. Now see Serenity trying to get up a good amount of picks here. They do happen to see the pick onto Dom. And they do... F8 Ball does manage to get the revive. Zara tries to flame out their Saws. Serenity's trying to hold off on this pick here. That Susan is just roaming around, untamed. He's going to try to stay alive for as long as he can to hold and contest. They aren't able to... Oh no, they are able to land the kill. Finality tries to dive on objective. Same thing with Peeb. Just latching as long as they possibly can. Serenity does manage to hold out here, actually. Very surprisingly.
They are going to lose a decent amount of percent, though, due to the contest, which lasted quite a while on this point.
Now, both players absolutely staggered. It seems like Serenity now does have a player advantage, it seems. I know, so yeah, no, it seems like they now have the player advantage. His teams are diving into that house on the side. Serenity trying to retain that health. They're coming very close to see Peep dive into the backline. Does manage to get a bunch of damage in. Kibizu following him up. Or Hebiamuzu, sorry, following up. And do manage to retake. But only less than 5%. It was a very scrappy
the early
fight there.
contest stopped a lot of percent there, so that's
it did, yeah.
advantage for Serenity there, being able to secure the majority of it.
They now enter onto the A point here on the interior. We see Cassie now go down. They're trying to hold off toward that heal, but then the backline here, Droid wrecking absolute damage here on the enemy team. A lot of really unfaltered aggression here now coming out on the side of F8 Ball. Serenity does try to push him off point, but that Susan is just commanding so much space, especially with that Troco not only doing the slow, but also the armor ability as well that it gets passively.
Totally different story from C point here with F8 Ball wiping out the entire team before taking A point here, capping it early so they can get a lot of percent. We are going to see Serenity push up through B to try to retake.
The Z2R ult come out, does do some damage, doesn't necessarily confirm a kill. You see Droid now trying to do some damage on the Z2R, and Smoothie trying to hold it as best as he can, but goes down due to the Susan. It's countered exactly by that exact counter. Again, running double shield into a Susan is just not the brightest idea. I do recognize that running a Saws for that space and just that, hey, look at me, I'm a big meaty unit, come deal with me, specifically with the health advantage. But man, running it into a Susan or even something like a Z2R is going to be a little bit difficult here, or even something more like the Dom where you can just melt its shield. Now try to see both teams try to vie for space on B point here.
Both teams are in a even position to be able to set up on the point, but Serenity is pushed a little bit more forward on the point before it unlocks.
Yeah, taking a look at ults here, we happen to see the Dom Susan come out for here from F8 Ball. Serenity does not respond with any ults of their own, and in fact, they're going to get 6 ults now. up. We have to see Grimwood with theirs, Vaxel with theirs. Yeah, all 6 ults. We have to see now RX Moon with the gym balls come out, letting the balls drop. We now have to see Smoothie use his ult here, trying to hold for space, or at least take some space with whatever space they have left. Does manage to pick up 1. FOE Ball still holding in this point, though, despite all the ults coming out.
The ults from FOE Ball were fairly early, so we can see Serenity holding onto theirs to use immediately as the point unlocks, but they won't be able to retake immediately, and FOE Ball will rack up a lot of percent here, despite them losing the fight on the point.
They might be able to retake it here with maybe 10 seconds left. That will give them a little bit, but Serenity's wanting to, or FOE Ball's wanting to hold on for as much, you know, total percentage here as they can to transition into the next point for a final hold. You know, taking a look back at ults against Serenity, has yet to use their Dom Hades. They might be using here for this last point. FOE Ball having Ashe and Saz, soon to get Z2R ult up again. So it's going to be a very scrappy last hold here on C.
Last point here on C, fairly open. Maybe not what some of the picks like the Susan would want here.
Now see, the Aspens goes out, does manage to get 3, but no confirm. No one there to follow up, and that is very unfortunate. That would have been a very solid hold there, had there been more of the team right there with him.
Instead, FOE Ball is down players for this point opening. They stagger the Susan.
Trying to contest. Serenity does manage to hold out for a decent amount of time here and manages to take it. It seems like their team comp is much more favored toward this outside point, and that might be able to work toward their favor in full holding here, unless they can maybe do something. FOE Ball hopefully trying to get some more uses out of these Saws and Z2R ult, but it seems like those ults are going to favor more toward the inside rather than the outside, specifically using the shields. We now see the gym balls come out again. Susan tries to come out through the flank and picks up 2 Peep cleaning up in-house. It's going to be a very strong retake here from FOE Ball, and they will be given enough time to try to take us. We now only have about 10 seconds left on the clock.
Gonna need a quick retake if we're gonna have one here for this first round on.
I don't know if there's gonna be enough time. FOE Ball does have managed to use 3 of their ults online. Z2R may also pop that 4th. No ults came out. We happen to see Sarah's ult did come out earlier, but nothing came up of it. Same thing with Grimwood. Nothing come out from the side of Serenity as they do manage to try and retake, but it's still very scrappy. Cassian falls. FOE Ball holding down the
1 on point here. Last 2 people from the initial push.
Melody close to ult. If he can land a few hits, he might be able to hold here. Does manage to go down to Smoothie, but then gets traded out by Droid, saving it in the nick of time. They do manage to retake point here. We do see Zaro's punch ult. We'll see if that gets any use here. We see Zaku's ult comes out. Felity also does now have punch. They're taking very scrappy fights here. FOE Ball now taking a lot of space. Ashman goes out with a punch confirmed. That might be it. That was a very easy or that was a very scrappy fight there. Wow, toward the end.
Yeah, Serenity had to make a play and actually retook the point, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, it was becoming a much bit of a stagger fest there as FOE Ball just, again, commanding the space. We saw a lot of viability come out there from the Susan, just clawing damage and dealing absolute menace to the enemy team.
Very, very hard for them to deal with, even if the point isn't as ideal for the suit.
Taking out the damage numbers, he fell, running 32k on Ashe. It's a very insane amount of damage. Also at top kills with 29. Following soon with Droid and Peeb. Peeb at 20k respectively, Droid at 18k. I would expect them to have more damage, seeing the effectiveness of Susan here breaking 2 shields. On the opposing team, we happen to see Vaxel at 22 with 16k, and at Zari with 20 and 19. So solid damage overall from both teams, but man, fell once you put in numbers. Same thing with Peeb with that 32 and 20 right there for both teams.
Yeah, definitely more even on Serenity. Even spread of about 20k on each player there. I think FOE Ball's comp is a lot more polarized with the damage dealing suits and the ones that don't.
Yeah, no suit changes now for this next point here. We happen to see it again outside on C. Both teams are going to get set up. Going to see Zyra try to go in and get an early molly in on the ramp. Droid and someone else coming on that flank. Does mean he's going to pick up on the Zaru. Serenity trying to hold off, but because they got picked off on the flank by the Z2R and Susan, they're now forced to back up. with FOE Ball now taking a lot of space. Droid playing super aggressive here. Gets a bunch of damage out. Punches the Pale. Still doing a bunch of damage and just staying alive for as long as he possibly can. Seeing insane plays here from Droid. Almost managed to pick up, no, does manage to pick up the Dom. Taking a lot of space for their team. Man, this is just insane aggression here. Football now just locking in, and most likely will be able to hold point here for full.
Strategy just losing too many people too often to be able to organize a big push. Getting picked off one by one slowly.
Taking a look at ults as well. Droid is almost already at ult. In fact, they most likely will have ult before this point is even done. Taking a look at the opposing team's ult, the closest we have would be Grimwood at 65% ult, followed by Saris or RX Moon at around the mid-50s.
We are going to see Serenity be faster to get on A point and have the positional advantage because FOE Ball stayed on C for the entire duration and didn't leave.
Now if they can use some communication here and try to take down that Susan early on in the fight, which we did see them occasionally work out in their favor in Thermal, they should be able to full hold here without that shield break ability, but Droid already does have the ult, so we might see it come out here. T also at 78, Peeb at 74. Droid now pops the ult, manages to deal a lot of damage to their flyers, and is trying to come in their backline. Could possibly see a pickup onto Saris and the Saz as well. Grim trying to hold on a point, trying to dodge around as much as the Susan as possibly can. Oh, man, it's very scrappy, and Serenity does manage to hold despite the Susan ult come out.
They are down a lot of their team here, but they are
See
well
the gym mine
suited
come out, but where?
on top of the gym. I think they got mollied.
Oh, they must have. So they can just try to dash in and take a point.
Axe
C2
coming
are
out from
axed and gets his FOE Ball taking as much space. Yeah. FOE Ball taking as much space as they possibly can here. We still see the Ash Punch as well be up unused. We're going to see the Salzo come up. Cashin's Donald's coming up very soon on the side of Serenity. We have their Ash Punch. Saris' ult. Vaxel should get their ult soon. Same thing with Smithy.
3 minutes remaining.
Those teams are now moving on to B. This could be, now this point could be determines, if Serenity can actually lock in and recover here and possibly go for a retake. Oh, wow, almost a full team wipe from the side of FOE Ball. Insane capability here.
We are trading ults though right before point actually opens, so Serenity is going to be given another chance to regroup and contest point here. They're going to be down the Mahiro ult and the Saz ult on the side of FOE Ball.
Now keep trying to hold off as long as they can and stall for time to secure for their team. So we do see Serenity manage to push in. Though FOE Balls has much better positioning here and does manage to take out a couple of their players' droids, securing 2 with the ult. Serenity does try to hold off for that high heal up there and now taking center point. But does manage to get focused down by FOE Ball, maybe? No, manages to no. Oh, they're getting chased by Saz as the rest of Serenity now tries to get through point. We now see the Dom ult come out. No Hades yet though. We now see the Saz ult come out. Hades now finally comes out. Serenity is trying to be as competitive as they can for this. See the Ash, the Zaku, and the Dom ult now coming out on the side of FOE Ball. So many ults now coming out, and FOE Ball manages to hold. And correct me if I'm wrong, that is going to be their game for the tournament, correct? As in they're the winners.
That's 3-0. FOE Ball. Rising
FOE
Legend.
Ball just balling out. I very much look forward to this team coming out into the Legends tournament then, coming out in 2 weeks. And 2 weeks actually, according to Prod. And yeah, I look forward to see how far these teams go. Boon, do we happen to have any commentary yourself of these teams?
We saw the reverse 3-0 from FOE Ball after Serenity took them into losers after the winners finals. So FOE Ball adapting well and playing a lot better in the rematch, shutting them out fully on a few maps here. especially some of the rounds of that. Ironworks there with the ult usage and the positioning on the points.
Looking at these, again, Parad, correct me if I'm wrong, was it top 4 or top 3?
Top 4.
Top 4. Well, taking a look at some of these top 4 teams, Serenity, FOE, Ball, and Grok, and I think Korgarasumu? I believe those are going to be the top 4.
Yep.
Yeah, so it seems like some of those the teams on screen do qualify. Very curious to see if we're going to see any roster changes, maybe some different strategies be used in the upcoming tournament. We're going to see a bunch of different top tier teams. I happen to see, or at least recognize some of the other top tier teams, at least Expo. I happen to see Headhunter's team also entered into this tournament, so it's going to be a very wide skill gap, and I'm very curious to see if one of these teams is going to try to correct that skill gap and hopefully come out on top, taking a few wins into the upcoming tournament.
Yeah, based on the performance today, I think they stand a good chance at taking some of the games on the teams that have pre-qualified for the next tournament.
Do we have any, now for you at least, do you happen to have any favorite player from that game?
I mean, the Susan was ripping it up. Droid was going in the entire time and consistently getting multiple picks on the enemy team in and outside of the ult. Probably have to give the MVP to him.
Let's not forget, he also did manage to play Saz on the thermal plant map as well, commanding a lot of space.
That, or throughout the whole set, I fell Winty with the Zeta top fragging out on most of the maps, playing to the flyer advantage.
Yeah, just solid players overall on the side of FOE Ball, who are legally different from Rizzards.
Distinct. Legally
Distinctly different from Rizzards, the
Yeah.
Rizzards of Boz. But on the side of Serenity, again, we happen to see actually some decent, holding. I get that they definitely tried their best. I would definitely suggest for them pick up Gundam. Because Gundam going to the next tournament will probably be big, especially if an enemy team is playing into a Susan. Those stuns are nothing to joke with. And, it's very hard to recover when you just see so much damage coming to your backline. And that's a suit where Gundam typically plays the best in as well, instead of being a much more forward-facing character like with Jim and Saz, because that, puts a lot of pressure on your backline for being able to sustain from something like the Z2R or even an Ash Molly as well. Right. Well,